All right, so I guess we kind of are live.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do hear myself and I do hear your beautiful voice. So
Hey, that's all
I
that
got.
matters, baby.
Yep, that's all that matters. I am Sen Knight, and with me today we are gonna have Professor Palmer. Thank you very much for being here with me to go through this madness.
Of course, it's my pleasure. Don, everybody in chat, what is up? You guys are here to catch
Hey.
this show.
Yep. Hi, Azure Dreamers, and hi, people that might not know much about this game or the speedrun of it. We're gonna get you through all of this so you understand what's happening on screen. This is gonna be kind of simple still, but hey, let's start explanation. Palmer, do you want to give a brief explanation of how this is gonna work?
As far as the layout of the race,
Yep, exactly
I
like
can do
rule set.
that. We're going to be doing a best of three, rock me to the top style, which means we're going to have two runners, and each of those runners is going to race to the highest floor possible before the time limit either expires or they die. Now, ideally, they would the time would expire just to put on the best show, but it is Azure Dreams. Nobody ever knows for sure. However, once one person does die, the other person then has the remaining amount of time to be able to reach to that level that that person got to if they did in fact get higher. Otherwise, we'll stop the race and we'll start the next round.
Exactly. So 1 hour time limit. If there is a tie, so that's the highest floor count that wins. And no, if there is a tie, then that's the person who got to that floor first that actually wins the round. So there is still a lot of speedrun elements there that is really important because this is actually a take on any percent, and we don't necessarily do any percent because if we would, then it would be a very low success rate. This game is kind of hard.
Yeah, this 230 estimate would be like 2 minutes and 30 possibly. So we're here for a show. You guys are going to be in for a treat. And I don't know, are they ready for the countdown?
Yep. I'm actually doing it right now.
All right, go ahead.
And this should start pretty much soon. During that time, let's explain the game in itself. So actually, how would this work? We have a tower. This is the entirety of the game. This is one dungeon, and inside that dungeon, then we're gonna have 40 floors. The first one is set, so it's always the same. It's a tutorial floor where everything's explained to you. Floor 40 also is a cutscene, so it's like the end of the game. But the other 38 floors are randomly generated. The items, the monsters, everything is randomly generated each and every time, and it is extremely rough. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about your experience with Azure Dreams and how you discovered the brutality of the game, Palmer.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those games that you could be a veteran and it could totally not matter. I had the luxury of not being a veteran, and and I got treated just the same. I mean, it's brutal, it's bad, and it's a ton of fun both to watch and be a part of. So we on the commentary side of things have no idea where they're going to end up, or how the success of each one of these rounds is going to go. We are going to be talking about things as they happen the best we can, but otherwise we're the same just as you as far as what is going to happen. We don't know yet, so here we go.
Exactly. So a good runner do know the HP of the enemies, do know a little bit, have a good idea of what type of damage they're gonna make, and how much they can take. But enemies are really, really powerful in this game, and every encounter has to be treated as either a mini boss or a boss fight. But you can also find items in the game like they have charges, maybe one-time use, or maybe you can use it 4 or 5 times depending on what it is. These items will get you out of sticky situation most of the time. So as long as you have resources, it's not necessarily going to be a problem. But monsters spawn infinitely, so if you take too much time on the floor, you'll end up spending more resources than you're going to get. And items are randomly generated, so you might not even get any good items in your first run. So we're going to be looking for equipment at first, just to make Ko, the main character, a little bit stronger. But then we're going to need to fill our inventory with fireballs, or maybe scrolls that are going to be some kind of spells, like making you invincible for a few turns, or turning an enemy into an ally, or stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff we want to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and right off the bat, you're going to notice it's kind of especially in these race scenarios, the runners will oftentimes rename the first quote-unquote pet they're going to get, the familiar. But they also rename their characters, which you saw right there at the beginning. Shawnee, he has an attachment to naming his character not Co, because it cracks him up in the dialogue boxes when they say, what should we name him? How about not Co? And they're like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and they proposed Co before, so the dad proposed we should name him Co, no matter what you renamed it. And if you didn't change the name, then the mother's gonna say, that's a cool name, let's use that. But if you rename it, then she's gonna say, no, let's not call him Co, let's call it not Co. Yeah. And that seems like such a petty thing to say.
That's one of Shauny's favorite things. I know that he mentions quite often. But Kane, he just went with the tried and true Kane. So we will be seeing that. So if you do happen to see those names thrown around, don't get confused. That's just them having a silly good time.
Yep, absolutely. So, yep, exactly. We have 3 times. We might have 3 matches. This is going to be a 1-hour time limit on each, but it might end up much sooner than that. Like we see in chat right now. Somebody dies on floor 4. Well, let's hope it's not going to happen, but it might. Bad paralysis trap, and that's it. You're done.
And we say that, and for people who are unfamiliar with the game, it's not like outside of. We're not joking. Like, it could really go down like that. There are certain floors where you're just surrounded by monsters, and there are certain floors where you're gifted every amazing resource in the game, and it can just totally. And one person can get one, and one person can get the complete opposite, and it's done in a snap. But we're gonna hope here for the most competitive and the most interesting races we can, because we're watching it as well, and we're all here trying to have a good time. So.
Yeah, exactly. But a good player can know how to make best of the worst situation. There are movement options. You can tank a few hits with your HP. You can dodge encounters. You can do a lot of stuff in this game to actually not spend that much resources, but you need to know what you're doing. And these two guys definitely know what they need to do. So we might see, even if there's a little bit of a tough situation on the lower floor, it shouldn't take them. Of course, paralysis trap, sleeping trap, then you cannot do anything but watch what's going to happen for the next 10 rounds, and there's only need to be an enemy there, and you're going to die pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Shawnee went and named his how do you say her name? Quinn?
The real pronunciation is probably Kyun, because it's coming from Japanese, but we all pronounce it differently. I say Kyuni.
I say like Queen, as if I'm like pronouncing her name with a W first, but regardless, Shawnee has aptly named his familiar Trash.
Yes.
And you'll see on the other side, Kane has named it the Pidu or something like that. It looks like a random assortment of characters, but
yes. So this game has Pokemon elements where you can actually find eggs of every monster in the game and hatch them to become an ally permanently. To do that, you need to find the egg, get out of the tower alive, then inside your house there's a place where you can hatch those eggs and they're going to become permanent allies. We're not going to do any of that. We cannot get out of the tower. That's one of the rules of the tournament. If you use the item to get out or die, then the run's over for you. Your opponent needs to beat your time, your floor count. You can still hatch monsters inside the tower, and the side effect of that is that the egg won't be permanent. As soon as you leave the tower, you lose the pet permanently. So that's not a problem because we will never leave. So hatching inside the tower is actually a good thing in this setup for the tournament. And the difference is the monster won't come as an ally at level 1. It will be at the same level you are. So if you're level 12, then that monster is going to be hatched at 12. So that's always really good. It's never you won't have to grind it up. So that's good.
Yeah, and another thing is that we just, while we were explaining that, this took place. You can arrange your familiars, the ones that you have actively out. Now, currently it's just one. Later on in the game, that can change. But they both, I noticed, moved their queen right behind them. I know that generally a lot of runners prefer to do that. It keeps her in a safer spot.
Yes. Also, you scout less tiles, so there's less type of a chance to get more traps. So that's always a good thing too. Cuny can actually be used as a fighter. It can also be used as a caster. But the strategy you're going to see both players use a lot is called Mix Magic, which is a mix of both. So Cuny is going to actually cast his spell on your sword, and then you're going to do a flame sword. It doesn't cost a lot of mana, and it deals a very high amount of damage. And it's going to scale extremely quickly. So at first, it might be pretty much the equivalent of co-attack, then Cuny attack. Or Mixed Magic would be a similar amount of damage. But it's going to become really clear that mixed magic is very more powerful later on.
Yeah. Yeah, real quickly, like as in like level 5, you're gonna start noticing a disparity. At least I do personally. But there is merit to kind of going back and forth in certain situations. When we're doing these style of races, a lot of times, survivability is priority, right? Because it's a it's a test of survivability. So you might see, as you've seen Shauny do a couple of times, he's actually changing his familiar behavior. Sometimes to have her attack, sometimes to have the mixed magic, and he's kind of doing that the best he can in order to minimize the damage that he's taking.
Exactly.
Some of these enemies early on, especially before you hit level 2 or 3, with your actual character itself, they can, it can be disadvantageous to just bleed too much damage too early for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. Those enemies, like when you're level 1, you have 16 HP, and it's so low that the trolls, which are the toughest things on the first floor, or second floor actually, could be like tough in a duel. So imagine if you're in a corridor in a pincer attack, like this game really is coming for you, and you need to make sure that you don't spend too many resources, but also don't spend too many HP on every encounter. We see our first equipment upgrade on Kainethebraine side. He's got a steel shield. He passed from 2 defense, the wooden shield everybody gets, to a 6 defense shield. And considering Ko's defense at this point is probably around about 5, the actual shield is worth more defense than Ko's base defense. This is a huge upgrade.
Yeah, the steel shield is massive, and the fact that it wasn't cursed, which is something that can happen in the is very nice. He didn't have any way to inspect it, I don't believe. He just equipped it outright. And, which, sometimes you do that. I hardly ever inspect things to see if they're cursed, but sometimes it can, especially with weapons. You equip with a subpar weapon and you're cursed. When you do get cursed, equipping something, it is forced to stay on you, unless you can somehow deal with that curse. Which is why a lot of people will hold on to items they have if they're only marginally better, just in case they do come across an identification style of item. That way they can check that out without taking that kind of risk.
Exactly. Everything that has a green name in inventory is unidentified, and so it can affect in a lot of different ways. So let's say you have a spell ball, the name's going to be green. It means that, yeah, it's going to cast a spell when you use it, and you can use it many times. But how many times? Well, you'll know when you lose one round trying to use it, and it won't work. So,
Exactly.
And you're going to die violently. That's the game. So yeah, they're going to be looking for a lot of stuff. Actually building an inventory and, if possible, gear. Oh, we see a vital sword on Shauny's side. That's good. And +2. Wow, this is huge. So the copper sword they have was worth 2 attack. That vital sword is actually worth 5, so it's more than double. And then there's a +2 enchantment on it, which is the maximum you can find in a while. So this sword is worth 7.
Yeah, that's a massive sword. I mean, there's merit to picking up. They help scale the mixed damage that your familiar is casting, but when you have a sword that's doing that much damage, especially this early on, and it's not cursed or anything of the like, this is going to give Shauny actually a pretty significant healthy advantage. He's going to feel pretty good about these next few fights that he's going to do. He might even be willing to grind up some EXP here, since he knows he's going to be so capable of taking a lot of different fights.
Yeah, and things people might not know about the Vital Sword is that we're going to see on the next floor, actually, some buggers called Manivas, which are some kind of yellow puddle of slime. They have the bad tendency of when you hit them, they actually split into a smaller version of themselves, and they can do that infinitely, so they just might fill out the room. The Vital Sword prevents reproduction, so they cannot duplicate.
Yeah, and it sounds like a very specific scenario, but you're going to start seeing them, and you're going to start seeing a lot. Actually, pretty immense advantage to have, especially this early on. Like we said, they're only on floor 4, and one's got arguably the best shield you can have, and really one of the best swords. I think it is the best sword. I think +7 is as high as you can get, I believe, without any kind of enchantment items.
There are legendary weapons, but their rate of dropping is like 1 in 5,000, so we don't really count them. So if we don't count them, this is the actual highest you can get. 7, like a 5+2, yep.
And you're noticing here on Shauny's side, he's bringing up that familiar menu right there, where it looks almost like 5 cards in a row, and it's going to be numbered 1 through 5. Just did right there, and he'll like move it back and forth, and that just means that he's changing his familiar's behavior, and you can do that without losing a turn. You can change direction without losing a turn, and that's all very, very important things to know and master and get good at, because if you are not facing something and you accidentally forget to hold the button that allows you to turn without actually moving, you can pay for it. But that could be the difference in a run being continuing or being dead. So there's a lot of things happening under the hood that when you're watching, it just looks like a pretty streamlined, okay, fight this, fight that, but there is small bits of movement and tech and just knowing things like that in order to be able to just not die, which is a lot harder than it actually seems. Both of them are doing a great job of so far making it look like it's not that difficult to game, but you know, as it comes easy, it often comes back around full circle before too long. So.
Yeah, so we see our first Menuivas on Shauny's side, so luckily he's got the Vital Sword that's gonna help. But honestly, we say it's not too hard, and it's true that floor 1 through 5 is manageable. Any casual player can absolutely get through them. You might die before then, but generally if you play like smart, you're gonna get through this. Difference is gonna be on next floor. Floor 6 is debated as do you explore it or not, and we generally say it depends a lot on what you found. But starting after that, floor 7 is going to be a lot of pain. And when I mean a lot... Oh, wow, man. Wow. Actually, Shauny decided to use the go-up trap, so they are both on floor 6 at the same time, and then pain is going to start. Blooms are the reason, like this green plant with red flower petal, that's the reason why you might not want to explore this floor. They are extremely tanky, they hit quite a lot, and when I say they're extremely tanky, it's probably going to take you like 3 hits to kill them.
Yeah, even with such a strong sword that Shauny has here.
Yep. And you can use what they both did there is use elevation. So sometimes you can be higher than your opponent, or they are using elevation smartly. It gives you an increase of 10% attack and 10% defense. So they're going to be using both that to mitigate damage because blooms are a problem.
And to answer your question in chat there, nobody important, why do they focus on having the familiar enchant their... not only does it save mana to a degree, like they're practicing pretty good mana control by shifting back and forth, but at the same time, the mixed damage is eventually going to scale out. Especially the fire mixed damage does help against the blooms, if I'm not mistaken.
No, actually, it's hindered. Blooms are water.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. That's why floor 7 to 9
exactly.
are a problem. Everything's water, yeah.
And you have the you do have the potential to change the mixed magic element that your familiar is casting. Although you're probably not going to see that happen at any point, but right here on Shauny's screen, you're looking at a U-boat, which you need to remember because these guys are no joke. He dispatched that one pretty well without having to dump a whole lot of resources, but there are a few enemies, that one is one of them included, that when you see them, you immediately go into, okay, what do I have that I can deal with this?
Exactly, and it still costed 1 resources, yeah, so... Oh, Shauny's side's starting to look a little bit ugly. Yep.
Yeah, he's looking at a. Fortunately for him, he does have this with Medivh. Oh, that's a pretty good move.
Yeah, but it still costed the Holy Scroll, which is one of the best items you can find there. So he's gonna get out of this unscratched, but it costed a very good resources. So he's thrown a Holy Scroll, which does 2 things. If you hit an enemy with it, that enemy changes team and comes on your side, so that's good. So that's why the Menuivh is actually fighting on its side. You don't get EXP for its skill though. And the other good thing it did, it create a like holy type of ground, and on that square you're invincible, but monster cannot get in. So that's actually got him out of this situation. But
yeah, it looks like he got the Menuivh to be confused, or it was attacking the other enemies.
Made it change the theme. Yeah.
Yeah, so the luxury of that, like why that's such a play, is they do, like when they are attacking, they do have the same ability where they can continue to split, and that way that the split, and then you're dealing with a lot of monsters all at once, and it's really, that was a pretty impressive play. You don't see that too often. Oh wow, he's going up. So Shauny is going to be on floor 8 now. Wow.
Oh, he's going to be on floor 9.
Wow.
In the same room as a U-boat, you don't want to stay. You're welcome there.
There is sometimes merit to sitting right next to an egg. Wow.
Yep, we have an egg on each side.
merit to sitting on right next to or the tile of an elevator up and passing your turn to regenerate your HP, because you'll notice, if you're not familiar, that your HP does go up based on the amount of steps or turns taken. So you can actually sit in place and waste all of your turns to get your HP back up to an advantageous level before then taking the elevator up. But in Shauny's situation there, even though the elevator was so close, there's a U-boat in the room, so there was no way that he was going to benefit HP-wise from hanging around any longer than he did.
Yeah, exactly. That wooden shield is starting to feel a little bit outdated. Even from lower elevation, this U-boat's still doing 9 damage, which is way too much. So you want to find a good shield or get out of U-boat territory. And this is going to be next floor. Oh, that's a paralysis trap. Okay, nothing happened. That's good.
Yeah, that is very fortunate. The paralysis trap is a bad one. There's actually a whole slew of traps in this game. As if it wasn't bad enough already with what you're given. You can step on tiles that just completely change everything. Some of them change the terrain that you're standing on, and actually some can warp you places, and it separates you from your familiar, and it can put you in a really, really tight spot. And as somebody in chat mentioned, you can actually, if you do lose your familiar in this style of run, you're at a massive disadvantage. It's very hard to manage, especially early on, if you lose Kuhn at a spot that's really disadvantageous. And there's not a whole. I don't think there's a single good spot to lose her, but hopefully with the eggs that they have, you'll see them either do one of two things. If they do lose their familiar and they don't have a resurrection to bring her back, they can either hatch that egg, and as Sand Knight earlier explained how that kind of works. Alternatively, they can throw the eggs at enemies, and they'll kind of pop out and do an attack, and it usually does quite a good deal. So sometimes those are like last case scenario moves to kind of get yourself out of trouble.
You can also feed the egg to your pet to recover its mana. So if your pet is actually doing great, you don't want to risk checking what the egg is, so you can feed it to the pet you already have. So it's going to act as a Pity Fruit and give you 50 mana back, so that's good.
Yeah, and mana is something that, because you're not actively seeing it right now, like from a viewership standpoint, it is something that does actually play a factor, especially with some of the other familiars in the game, clowns and the like that. You actually will be micromanaging mana to an extent, especially later on. So the Pita Fruits and the things like that, unless you open or actively check your familiar's mana, it's not like openly displayed on the stats that you're seeing right here on the screen. So the runners are being mindful of that. And whenever he opens up this menu to change the familiar behavior, you can actually see what the mana is at. So if you run out of mana at some point and you don't have the items to deal with it, you are in rough shape.
And actually, I missed it, but we've seen our first wand, and it's not any kind of wand. It's a scarlet wand on Kainethebraine's side, so the king of all wands. So wands and swords are the type of weapon you can equip in this game. Swords are for dealing physical damage, pretty self-explanatory. Wands deal only 1 damage, so it's much weaker than even the weakest sword. But it has one good thing for it. It increases mixed magic, so when your pet casts on your weapon, by 25%. And like I said, mixed magic scales pretty quickly, so it's really powerful. And the Scarlet Wand is mixed with the Fire element, so as long as you're doing a Fire mixed magic, you're gonna add another 25% on top of that. So right now, Kaine is destroying absolutely everything.
Yeah, Kaine's actually sitting on a Scarlet Wand and a Steel Shield. So as far as like pure equipment on Ko, he's in a really, really advantageous spot right now. There's not a whole lot more improvement he can do. Like if he gets an opportunity to pick up other weapons, it would take a 1 in 5,000 legendary item at this point for him to consider swapping.
Oh yeah, the only situation I would see him change is maybe a life wand, which deal a lot less damage but do life steal a little bit of HP back to you. With a good shield, it's a good setup. Or if you lost Cuny, because if you lose Cuny, you cannot do mixed magic anymore, and that Scarlet one is going to become the weakest thing ever.
Oh yeah, in a situation that you lose your familiar, you want to hope that you at least have a sword on you, because the wands are going to fall a bit short at that point. But you're looking, they're both on level 412. Both of them are playing a pretty consistent. There has been a fair share of resource dumping on certain like U-boats and things like that, but altogether they seem to be holding on to their resources quite well and not having to deal with a whole lot of adversity. But I see on the left side, Kane just picked up the collar. Sam, if you want to talk a little bit about how that works.
Sure, absolutely. The blue collar is actually, so you have a red collar. You get it from your mom that was your dad's collar. You put that on a pet, and it it's what lets you control them. So that's how you tell this is your pet. You do that with eggs when you're at your home. So when you find a blue collar, you actually have a second one, and you can actually use 2 pets at the same time, which is generally not really useful. It makes them lose mana, like they both lose mana at a rate. It's 1 every 14 turn if memory serve. So having 2 out at the same time is not a really good thing. And you generally either can or cannot fight. Second pet is never going to be like make or break. But what you can actually do is fuse 2 monsters together to get one that might be stronger if you know what you're doing. I don't know if we're going to see any fusion, but generally you want to make sure that you pick up the blue collar. It's always on floor 12. So in case you get something good, you want to have it. Luckily, it didn't do too much. Yes, so yeah, it's not too bad. It's just that if he had 12 HP, it was going to be the end. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing is worth mentioning is the familiars do split EXP, and on top of that, they actually split EXP with Ko as well. You'll notice in like some of the runs that your familiars either die or you do a glitched entry or whatever, and you don't have a familiar out at any point, you're going to be gaining levels a lot faster because you're getting that lion's share of the EXP. And yeah, having 2 familiars out does force the EXP to be split even more so. So it definitely has, playing casually or what have you, when you can take trips back to town and you can kind of micromanage that. Having multiple familiars is not so bad, but in this, when the rules are that you cannot leave the tower, you gotta take every resource and get the most you possibly can out of it, and that's hard to do, especially if you're using 2 familiars. So.
Yes, and we see blue collar on both sides right now, so fusion is on the table. Like I said, I don't know if we're gonna see it, but at least they can do it. And they both have an unidentified egg, so we still don't know what's in there. And those really, really good pets you can find. There's actually a few of them that are on lower 4 than 10 where they got their eggs, so we might see something really good. Of course, Arachne blocks like you find on 18 and 25. Oh yeah, that was a rise, right?
That was a bad. Those griffins, they do a sneaky amount of damage, and if Kane there didn't actually have that Scarlet Wand, he would have been in a pretty precarious situation because they have a copious amount of HP, and then they can do some pretty nuts damage. But he mathed it out. He knew what he was doing, and it looked like he came out of there without much worry. But now he is in a spot where you're seeing him kind of like waste turns in an effort to try to let the monster move away from where he's at, and at the same time, hopefully get a little bit of some HP back, so that when he does start this fight, he can do it from an advantageous position.
Yes, and he also uses AI1, where your pet actually attacks after the enemy move, which is different from where you would do it normally. Oh, and that was a missed move. Yep, that's all right. He's okay. But then again, this is a way to deal extra damage at cost of time and MP, but survivability, like you said, is king in this game, so yep, you want to do that.
He's just gonna go up. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, but you need it too.
Yeah, you're gonna notice that as they get higher, you go into panic. At least I personally do.
Oh, we all do.
Yeah, the griffins, the U-boats, and it just keeps getting worse. Eventually, you're going to have clowns and pickets and the like, but we're not there yet. But you'll notice that Kane on the left side is actually on floor 14 now. So as things get a little bit more dangerous, it's important to kind of keep track of who got to what floor they're on total, and who got there first. Because from this point on, things get dangerous and they don't slow up.
Yeah, exactly. You cannot slow down, but the game is going to try to slow you down as much as it can. And it's going to be rough pretty quickly. These griffins are bad news, but then we're going to see maybe on either side, actually, Kraken. And if we do see that, so that's some kind of a octopus kind of thing, or whatever, Kraken, you know what this is. It's really, really powerful. It's got high HP, it's got high attack, it's got high defense, and when you hit it, you get it back for a percentage of the damage you've dealt. So I don't know how to tell you this, but this is really, really powerful.
Yeah, if you see one and you don't have like a priority removal resource, such as an oak or something effect, you're probably going to want to just stay away. Like, there's some things in here that it is to just, unless he's standing on top of the elevator and you have some... there's some things that you're just better off taking the long way around.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So on Shauny's side, we see one of my favorite weapon, which is called the Fire Sword. The Fire Sword is a weapon that generally gives you 5 attack. This one is actually cursed, so it gives only 4, but it's still really good because it does increase fire mixed magic by 25%. So only a Scarlet one would be better at this point in terms of raw damage. It doesn't do much other than that, but that's already quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing we haven't mentioned yet is, and you've seen the runner picking things up. Now you can pick up CUNY and move her, drop her, throw her. Oh, yikes!
Yeah, a miss and then a rise. Wow.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yep.
But it looks like he comes out of it. He's gonna probably take a few steps in the other direction for now. Ooh, a Scarlet Wand.
Oh, and a go-up trap.
I believe he is cursed on the sword, is he not?
He has already decursed the weapon. It's still -1, but he can equip something else.
Okay. Yeah, and wow, that's super advantageous. And he is going to equip the Scarlet Wand. That's probably what I would do as well.
Oh yeah.
I love the wands. I love the wands, and because I play when I do that, if my CUNY dies, so do I. So sometimes it's just nice to put it in resources. But you're gonna see Shauny just put that enemy to sleep there. Now the items that you pick up in the game, these orbs, these usable items, and they all have like that orb similar.
The green orbs
icon. They can have a random number of charges, I believe. Some more so than others. Like for instance, the fireball you get at the tutorial level is always going to be, I believe, 5 charges.
Yes.
So you can keep track of that one. But however, some of the other items you pick up, I believe some are in the range of like 2 to 7 or something crazy like that. So
it's probably 4 to 7, but the acid rain is always 1. It's always 1 charge. Yes.
So sometimes you can be in a situation where it's like, this better have another charge in it. and it's always fun to see, and you know, sometimes the runners are doing just as much guesswork as we are when we're trying to follow it.
Yeah, you don't have a choice there. Sometimes you just have to deal with whatever the games give you, and yep, the number of charge on the ball is you need to not count on it, but sometimes you just don't have a choice.
Yeah, sometimes you're down to this is my only out, and you got to rely on the game to get you out of it, which more often than not is not what's going to take place. Exactly.
So Shauny's in a bad spot, but he's all right. Okay, he got out of it. He wasn't melee with a Uyel, and he couldn't go south because he would have been picked up by the troll. So, but he got out of it. But his CUNY is low on HP, so you want to make sure to pick it up. Yeah, exactly.
So what he's doing right now is he's picking up his familiar and he's putting it in an advantageous spot and stepping away from the enemy. That way he can kind of kite damage. While minimizing his risk. It's a good play. It's not necessarily fast, but sometimes you got to focus on just like, how do I get past this next encounter? And he did a pretty good job of it. That was really impressive.
Shauny in our community has always been a risk-averse type of player, and since he get all these Peter fruits, it's really sorry guys, it's really paying off. So okay, we see our first pickets. Do you want to talk about these little buggers a bit?
Yeah, I mean, what is there to say about pickets, man? So these guys, as you just saw, they will come up to you and they will steal stuff from you. They will actually take something out of your inventory and they will bail. And it took a sleep ball from him with, I believe it had 7 charges on it?
7 charges, yes.
7 charges, and that's bad. I mean, that's not ideal.
He's gonna get it back there, all right.
Yeah, fortunately, the pickets will then run away from you on the same level that you're on, and if you happen to come across the same picket that stole it from you, you can kill it and get that item back. So sometimes they take off, and you don't have resources to deal with them. You know, if you have something like a clown familiar where you can do some range damage, or a fireball with some charges left and things like that, you can kind of deal with them, but they're fast. They run very quickly.
Oh yeah, they move twice each and every time you move once, so you can never catch them up. If you are in melee with them, that's all right, but you have 1 round.
Exactly. So it was a good move right there, based on the priority of the sleep ball to deal with that picket with his ranged fire. However, pickets are also worth a fair amount of EXP.
Yes.
And you'll notice already that the difference between level from the actual floor, Kane is up to 18, and his actual level is at 14. So he's he's moving quickly and moving effectively, which is sometimes really hard to do in this game.
Oh, absolutely. So we see on Shauny's side, he changes his trusty wood shield for a mirror one, and this is a really interesting shield. It does only gives 3 defense, but it's still better than the wooden shield that only gave 2. He changed it for.
Yeah, wait, he was still sitting on the wooden shield?
Oh yeah, he was.
Wow.
So in terms of defense, the mirror shield is not really an upgrade. It's an upgrade of 1, but won't make a huge difference. But there is I think it's 80% chance of reflecting spell cast on Ko. So if he sees any of those dragons or unicorns that are trying to cast spell on you, there's a very good to fair chance that the spell's going to get back to the face of the caster.
And that, like Cyanide's mentioning, just all the nuances and the things, different items and these different weapons and pieces of gear do. That's just a rinse and repeat. Experienced players, knowing I have this and I can use it for this, and balancing all those risk-reward situations. It's like I said earlier, there's so much going on under the hood that we, without hearing them think out loud, they might have a certain way of dealing with something that we don't see because they know their resources or they know what they have, and it makes for a very enjoyable experience because every run is different. You're never going to have something be exactly the same as the one you did just before, and that's why it is such a nice thing to have in these races and in these marathons, especially in this kind of format.
Oh yeah, this game is really fun to replay. Even when you get dealt a really, really bad end by power, where you die by a stupid trap where you couldn't have done anything, you actually never feel bad about it. It's just well, that's what happened, I guess, and you just want to get and dive into the tower again. So I really enjoy that because every run is so different. That bullshit's not gonna happen. Well, you're gonna have to deal with new bullshit, but that's the thing,
Yeah, it's crazy because when I first started the game, I'd never even heard of it, or they said we're doing this tournament, join us. So I was like, what? Before I do this tournament, I should probably at least figure out what the buttons do. And
yes,
between that couple-hour playthrough the tournament that I handily lost the next day, I was just drawn in. It will absolutely get you going. So if you guys are in chat, I see you guys mentioning the game is neat and the run is hype. Well, it is, and it's a very interesting thing to do, and community involvement, which the Azure Dreams community is very involved and very hype about doing it. And there's a lot of things possibly planned on the horizon. You guys should absolutely join the Discord, consider picking up the game, and have a good time with us because I'm probably the newest and least experienced, and I'm hooked.
We have seen something really interesting actually on Shauny's side. He has picked up an egg earlier on, but he actually identified the egg. So we know this is it's a clown egg. And the clown is actually the best caster in the game. So what makes it the best caster is a hidden trait, which is called increased spell level. And what it does, each and every time the pet gets a level, it actually increases its spell by 1 generally. But a clown does increase its spell by 2 every time it wins 1 level. So it's really, really, really powerful. Right now, the clown might be a little bit on the weaker side. It's kind of a squishy caster. But you can actually use fusion to fuse that clown into Cuny. And it would double the spell level of Mixed Breed, which, since Shauny has a Scarlet one, would be absolutely brutal. So I guess that if he gets some time, he's going to do that. But it's going to do another thing also. It's going to teach Laydown to Cuny. And Laydown would not level up ever, but it's actually a range spell. So that he could actually shoot fireballs from faraway enemies. So it wouldn't do that much damage, but against a wind enemy, it would be worth it. And we see the Atch starting.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what he's going to get.
Yeah,
so he's already...
This is the move. This is the move, dude. Clown eggs, they're worth so much, both in the clown familiar itself and in the attributes that it could provide for the other familiar, if you've picked up the blue collar. And I love them. The clowns are so sweet, and the ability to do damage from a distance in this game can absolutely not be understated. It makes a huge difference based on the tile system and how every movement allows the enemies to move as well. Being able to do damage from afar is really worth its weight in gold.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know that it's probably one of the best pick you could have gotten for an egg. We have seen an egg on floor 17, which might be an Arachne, what might be a little bit better, but other than that, 100% clown. That's
Oh,
one
there
of
he
the things I
goes.
want to see. And do we see fusion?
It looks like he is pulling it out and fusing it.
Oh, level
So
28 Brit. You know it's
wow.
gonna be there's gonna be damage.
Oh
That
man, this
down
is
is also gonna be level 28, but it's never gonna level up because this is a wind spell that has been turned to fire. If a
Yeah.
spell is not in its own element, it's never gonna level up. But man,
but being at 28 is nuts. So already quickly you're seeing like the paradigm shift. Even though Kain is on floor 22 and he's level 16, Shauny now has such an immense advantage that you're probably going to see him start to change his playstyle a little bit. Oh, a blinder trap, that stinks. But he's
but
going
he's got a
to
cure all.
yeah,
That's all right.
nice. And he's probably going to take a little bit more risk and feel a little bit
Yeah.
better about doing. He's in a situation, you know, most things at this point, especially without having to dive into his bag to use some of his resources.
Yeah, so he can shoot fireball from range, and he can also reflect spell that has been shot from range to him. So
oh yeah, that's true. He does have the mirror shield.
yeah, this setup is actually a really good setup. So it's really weak in terms of defense, but he shouldn't attack if it's not the killing blow anyway, or
So
very rarely.
You're gonna see right here, like I mentioned earlier, you can pick up enemies and familiars, certain ones.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut on you, but on that side, Shauny actually used a sword and dropped it on the ground, and the Manivas, when you see them at the lower level, they don't do that, but when you start seeing them back on floor 15 and plus, they actually are using an ability that can let them turn into an item, and they are hidden there, and when you get through near the item, it actually untransform and attack on the same turn, which is dangerous.
Yeah.
So Shauny abused it at putting a sword into the corridor, and the Maniva transformed into it, and now you just dodged the encounter entirely.
Yeah, and now he can just avoid going over there.
Yep, and really, Kain absolutely is booking it right now, and it's working. It's a 7-floor difference, so maybe Shauny is really powerful right now, but he still needs to get a lot faster right now.
But there are some pretty decent items that Kain is picking up here. He just used a win to get another holy scroll, it looked like. So that you're seeing two different styles of play here, where Kain is now recognizing like what his strengths are as far as like what the strength of his items are looking like. But he is in a bad room right here. It looked like he pulled out, what was that, acid rain?
All right. Yep. Okay, you got out of everything, so that's good.
That was nice, but that is one of the stronger resources. Like, there's definitely authority you can put on the items that you have in, and like how lethal they're going to be. So there are some things you want to hold on to unless it's like really your only or your absolute best choice, and that's definitely one of them. But you know, like Don is mentioning in chat, he is constantly spawning.
Oh yeah,
he's already on floor 27. Which is this is a fast pace to get to floor 27.
And if you actually look for rotation, you actually saw next elevator. So when you spawn into a new floor, there's actually a rotating animation that goes up to you, and sometime you can scout where the exit is. Oh, that's not good, but he's gonna get it. 52 damage. Wow.
Jeez, it is not uncommon to keep your eyes peeled when you are going up to the next floor, because as the map, as Sandite mentioned, kind of warps around, you can sometimes get a peek through some walls and already know what direction you need to head in, and that's, you know, it's small things like that that can make all the difference, and especially in a race that's going to be, you know, played by these rules. But he is, he's moving, and you saw him right before he went up. He did sit there and he burned a few turns in an effort to get some of his HP back up before he went to the floor. Oh man, he's already found the elevator again, up to floor 29.
Wow, 10 floor difference. So, and this is where timer actually comes into play. There's 20 minutes left. And Kain is actually really on par to get to 40. 20 minutes is more than enough time. Shauny is going to have to book it right now, and the game really doesn't want to let him get through things. He's always pelted with new monster all the time, and this miss is gonna be that's a death.
That's
a death. That, oh man, really unlucky there.
That was a surprising bit of damage, but he was also in such a precarious situation. But that is gonna be still. It would have been a super uphill battle for Shauny to then blaze through. If Kain died on this floor, he would have been fighting an uphill battle just to get up to where he was anyway. So I think think that was a pretty good race. You saw a couple of different styles for sure.
Absolutely. Whew. All right. So we're gonna do a quick reset for match number 2. We're gonna give 1 point to Kainethebraine. Good job, my friend. You did really great, man. Booking it was absolutely impressive. So let's hope we get another that is as hype as this one, because it was great.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty, like, on both sides. Both of them were getting a lot. And Shauny was sitting on a pretty sweet clown into a CUNY fusion. But Kane on the other side, he was just moving too quickly, and Shauny got put in a really bad situation. And just like that, the game can change from things are looking good to things are very bad.
Yeah, it was already tough on Shauny's side, but realistically, you have to understand that he missed his attack, which is a really low percentage. We guess it's around about 2% chance of a miss when you attack, which is flat. And then the enemy was asleep, and it woke up on the turn after. So it actually stayed asleep for 0 turn. So these two things put together made it so he died. But like the plan Shauny had in mind was fair and sound. It's just luck.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're gonna do countdown. So if you can just prep second race, right?
All right.
Oh, that's good. Are you ready for timer? I'm counting them down, right? There we go.
Alrighty, well, just to, I see some people in chat that are probably just now joined during the process of that first race. Just a quick glance right over the rules again. So the way that we're doing this in this setup is we're doing a best of 3. Obviously, first to 2 is going to win, but there are some adjustments to that. It's not quite that simple. As you mentioned and did notice, the first person to die will stop. Basically, you got an hour to get as high as you can, with floor 40 being the max floor. You have an hour to get up as high as you can. Now, if one player dies and he happens to be on the higher floor, that other player then has the remaining amount of that time to get up to that floor and then beat it. And
to that floor plus 1.
Exactly. So if that doesn't happen, or in Shauny's case, being on the lower floor and dying, the race immediately ends there. So sometimes you can see people get to max floor. Sometimes you see the time expire, and sometimes you see the race end at floor 6. So it really is. It really is anything goes. We really don't know what we're going to see. So hopefully this race is just as interesting and colorful, because that one had a lot of different things going on.
Yep, absolutely. And to answer your question, Galton, we actually do see the end of the games once in every while. We do our tournament. This is exactly the setup we use in the tournament. So this is called the Rock Me to the Top tournament settings. And during the actual tournament, we've seen floor runs get to 40. I think it's 5 or 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
Even races that ended up both player getting to 40.
Yeah, we saw a double 40. What, last Thursday?
Yes,
I thought.
Was crazy.
Yeah, sometimes you see sometimes you can see the craziest race you've ever seen, and both runners only get to 40. And then sometimes it's a crazy race where they utilize all 44s in almost every single second that they have in the time limit. And this game can just sometimes front load difficulty. Sometimes you can do it in reverse. Sometimes you can go through floor 1 and 2 and pick up, the resources you need to feel comfortable about making it up halfway to the tower.
Yes, absolutely. And honestly, what is the most fun in this game is actually those bad situations. Like, the runners might not agree with me right now, but this is still true. Like, those situations where you need to stop for a second and think, this is what makes you get back into the game. This is what tests your mettle and see how clever you can actually get out of these situations. And like Palmer said, this can happen on floor 2. Like, you could just lose CUNY on floor 2 because bad trap or actually bad room spawning or something like that, and then you need to stop and think. And even though it might actually be only a second or 2 of no animation and then the plan is laid out, those 2 seconds where your hamster is spinning like crazy in your head, these are the best moments in this game, I can tell you.
Yeah, honestly, from an actual playing standpoint, you can actually notice as you play more and more things like this, or test yourself, you can get obviously better. Like if I pick up an Oleem, I know, okay, if I see situation A, B, C, or D, I know that I can deal with it with these resources that I have, and you kind of make those decisions ahead of time. But there are absolutely things like monster dens or losing your familiar because you step on a trap that make you stop and think and go, okay, what do I do here? And sometimes I've dropped the controller and put my hands up to my chin and scratched and been like, all right, what do I have? And like, what's the best thing to do to make it past just this next interaction to buy just a few more steps?
Yes, and this is one of the skill you're gonna get if you start running the game is the more you play, the more you can get out of some situation without expending resources or expending one resources less. And this is what is going to make you go to these higher floors because you're not going to spend as much. So what you see on Shauny's side all the time, which is AI manipulation, where you change AI, pick up CUNY, drop it down, let DME get it once, do it again, and then switch for AI 3 and use a mixed magic. So the enemy get it twice by CUNY and then by mixed magic before the actual battle starts. So these things are gonna, they cost a lot of MP and they do cost a lot of time. But if that's one Ulim fruit more in your inventory, then, well, it's all worth it, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, there is, like, for a game that is as silly and goofy and anything goes, like, underneath it all, the amount of tech and the amount of things you learn, it's really, really neat because you'll see these runners kind of adapt signature styles and or adopt these signature styles. So they'll be in situations where it's like, you know, one runner it has a more consistent reserve style. I know Shauny is proud of and pretty well known for being a low risk, just get it done consistency. Now, obviously, at certain times you kind of got to get away from those styles and those things that you're used to in an effort to, like in one of these scenarios, make up an immense floor difference or deal with, you know, resources you do or don't have. But ultimately, it's really fun to play as a game and kind of develop your own what you like to do and how you like to handle things. And there's, like, you know, dang near infinite possibilities to play around with.
Absolutely, the game's gonna throw everything at you each and every time, but it's always gonna be a new high and a new low. It never feels old. Like, even though you can die from two times the same trap on different floor, the run will still feel so different, and this is what is fun. The setup of equipment you can have. Actually, what's interesting also is that there's a lot of details. Like the swords might be a little bit more boring because it's pretty much sword that attacks 2, attacks 3, attacks 4. There's a few weird sword, which is actually really fun. But then there's the ones that do some crazy stuff, like has a chance to paralyze, lifesteal a little bit of health back to you. Those shields, there's like the shield that reflects the spells back to the attacker. There's a shield that reflects
to a troll, and he's still on level 1.
Okay, that troll might be bad news.
Yeah, he's changing AI. He's utilizing the but he is still in a precarious situation.
Oh yeah, you know it. Wow. So he's still gonna go physical route, and that's gonna be killed now, so that's good.
Yeah. So he got the level 2 off of it, but that's one of those situations you see earlier than you'd like to. But you're going to notice right here that he is purposefully passing by the elevator. He's not taking it in an effort to either grind more EXP or resources or both. But now that you know where the elevator is, it's really nice because you can keep it in your back pocket. If you see something that's a little bit harder than you want to deal with, you can just backtrack and go straight back to the elevator. Otherwise, like if you see a bunch of items, like he's already gained 2 pretty advantageous resources, now a third one, a Gulf one. Even though it doesn't do the added fire increased damage, it is still increasing mixed magic damage for being with wand.
And it also do increase damage against water monsters, so it's not actually as bad because that fire has got a decreased amount of attack against water monsters, so that Gulf one might actually reverse that a bit. It's not as good as a Scarlet, but it's really not a bad choice for a weapon right now. But since it might be cursed, I guess that Kainethebraine is going to wait a little bit to see what tower yields for him.
Yeah, you could. Oh man, this is still a pretty rough spot as well. Flames can actually do a surprising amount of damage that you definitely don't. Teenage
that CUNY's probably very low on HP.
Oh,
okay,
wow,
survive.
Squeak that one out. Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing what his CUNY's.
11. It's not too bad, but it's less than half, so it was kind of scary, but not as bad as I thought it was.
Ooh, do you deal with this flame?
No, this flame is throwing fire across the room, so yep.
Yeah, it looks like he is he's dealing with it. He is like Sanite mentioned earlier. Elevation does actually affect game. Oh wow, he's got a whole lot of
slow trap. All right. So the slow trap actually make it so Ko only gets 1 turn every 2 turns. So that's why you see the enemy and his pet attack twice in a row. So the game doesn't do one pet attack once, then the other, then one, then the other. It's actually 2 in a row. So it kind of can mess with your pet. So where you would actually kill it, but it does get to attack before you do. But yeah, I think the slow trap generally lasts for maybe 15 turns, so it should be wearing off really soon. Yeah, and it still costed a fireball. Wow.
Yeah, there have been times when I've zoned into a monster den and then immediately stepped on a slow trap, and I just, what do you do at this point? And the slow trap, like being able to, there are certain things that increase your movement speed in this game. I don't think either one of them have either this race or the last one, but if we do see that, we'll mention it. And that basically allows you to move more tiles at a time, but slow obviously working in reverse, forcing you to take essentially 2 attacks per enemy, and that, it's bad enough when you're taking 1 from things that you don't want to deal with, but when you're having to take 2, you're gonna have to lean on some resources at that point in time. There's probably no doubt about it, because you're definitely not gonna be able to outrun anything.
No, exactly. It's gonna catch up. It's gonna hit you in the back, and it might be funny when it pickets and it hits you for 1, but when you receive like 5 or 6 damage on your 35, getting hit twice in a round. That's not the kind of things you want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that Shawnee utilized over here, if you're not familiar with the game, and we haven't really talked about it all, is if you have an item, say for instance a sword that you're not using, a low-level sword or something that is just not as good as what you have, you can actually pick up the items and throw them to do damage from a distance. If you want to clear out your inventory, if you have some things cluttering you up, you can sometimes throw it just to do, a little bit of damage from a distance, help yourself out. There's really, only gains from a situation like that. But you can also pick up your familiar and throw them to get them to a more safe position. Alternatively, as you've seen the runners do multiple times, you can just pick your familiar up and drop it behind you, so that you're not losing the effects of your familiar being useful and nearby, but you're also getting them out of damage and harm's way at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of way to go at it. Shawnee is definitely known into the community to be a high physical attacker, so he really likes to use CUNY attack power and AI manipulation to get it off. Most, like 99% of the other runners actually do pretty much only mixed magic. Well, we all know how to AI manip, and we use it when it's really like the only way out. But because of time consumption, we generally go the other way. But you can see why, like, at that point, I'm generally running on the low 10s of HP because I'm using it as a resources to go fast. You're never going to see Shawnee in that situation. He's going to be close to top of HP each and every time because of the way he plays. And that's smart. Like, I can get it with a trap and I'm dead.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And there are some traps that feel a lot worse than others, man. There are some that will stop you dead in your tracks, and you can, how do I deal with this?
Yep, and like the warp traps is the worst.
Exactly, the warp is so bad. But there's sometimes when you're surrounded by enemies, you take one step and you're blinded or confused or something, and you're like, oh no. And
in a lot of games, blind would be like you have a low accuracy, but this game's blind is really, really cheap. Like, the screen turns black, and when an enemy attacks or your pet attacks, it's going to be written question mark as it question mark for question mark amount of damage. So you might even end up hitting your own pet because you don't know what is what and what's happening. This is real blindness. Like, the player is blind, not your character.
Oh yeah, like you are absolutely blind. Like, it is like you have a chance to miss. It's like you cannot see. Like, that's it.
That's the worst blind status I've seen in a game by far. Yeah.
Fortunately, though, if you know before you step onto an Oleem, I don't think we've seen anybody use one yet. They're probably one of my favorite items in the game.
One on Shawnee's side the last run. Yep, absolutely. You just throw the fruit at an enemy and it disappears. That's it. Doesn't exist anymore.
There are some items that turn enemies into frogs, and you can then kill them for what the enemy would be worth in EXP otherwise. Yes. Sometimes it hops around, you gotta chase it down a little bit. But there are a bunch of, like, these are like some of the higher priority get out of jail free cards that you're going to see and want to hold on to. And then some of the lesser quality things, or the things that you have multiple charges of, you're going to see them lean on a little bit more early on. A lot of times you'll see right away a runner use one of the eggs to throw and get a quick level 2 on floor 2. But I think they both held onto their eggs up until this point, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, you have Fireball, so if you really want to get to level 2 quickly on floor 2, you generally want to use that. Not that egg, but that Fireball. But yeah, that Palumpa egg you get on floor 1, which is gonna, like, if you use it as a grenade, it's gonna do a high amount of damage.
Yeah.
You want to probably keep around about floor 15 or 16, because after that it's gonna do reduced damage. It might not result in a one-shot. There's also risk involved. This egg bombing, it's called, can actually miss. It has the same chance of missing as a normal attack. So using that resources as a last-ditch effort to actually survive is not a good idea. You want to use it if you have a plan B.
Yeah, and sometimes sometimes if it's like your only option around you and or something, it can actually attack the thing you don't want it to attack.
Yep.
So sometimes even that isn't as reliable as.
Oh yeah, it's gonna spawn and then attack any monster in melee. So you actually throw the egg at someone, but if when spawned, it's actually in melee with something else, it might attack something else.
Yeah, there have been times when I'm like, I'm out of here, and then I'm like, I'm not out of here. In fact, I'm out of here by way of resetting this game because I'm toast.
Yep, absolutely. There's also very weird situations sometimes happens when you see there's an entrance to every room, and that's the only situation where you're in an entrance where you cannot attack diagonally because of the wall. And sometimes you will throw an egg bomb and it's gonna spawn through this diagonal and it's gonna try to attack, but it can't, and it's gonna disappear without any effect. So you really don't want to see that. That's really bad.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's, I could write a thesis on the things I don't want to see in this game. And right here, it looks like we're looking at one. That's what I call these guys. They're awful. They go on the submarines, the freaking U-boats.
Yeah. Yes.
The what you're doing in the submarine mode is that you can actually attack them. I don't know if we mentioned that previously, but you can't even do anything to them when they're in that underground state.
Yes.
So you are in a situation where you can either run or wait for it to get the upper hand on you. And as you saw right there, it did do damage to Creamy right there, but he was kind of baiting that out in that sense. He would have rather her taking the damage, and now he's in a more advantageous position. But U-boats are no joke, whether they're on floor 9 or what have you. They're right into a bloom as well.
Yeah, and the worst part about this is they still deal a lot of damage, and Shauny is equipped with the best shield in the game, which is a diamond shield. So you gotta understand that even with the best shield, you're actually still taking a lot of damage. So U-boats, like you said, are no joke. They're gonna kill you if you let them. And they're always gonna have the first strike because of being underground. Well, if they are, when the encounter starts.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you get pelted with like 4 or 5 U-boats in a row, like you just kill one and another one's coming up, getting the first hit in on you each and every time is going to add up pretty quickly.
Yeah, that is the difference maker in this situation, more often than not. There's a lot of times, especially as these runners climb and their HP goes up, but so does the difficulty of the monsters they encounter. First hit can sometimes be the difference in I live or I die. It makes a huge difference to be the one to engage the fight, which is why you'll see a lot of runners sit on a tile, pass their turn to have the enemies take a step forward so that they can take advantage of that first interaction.
That's one of the first skills you should learn, is like how to manipulate combat. So if you just skip turns, your pet is actually always going to get into melee and get its boost. It's going to jump into combat every time. That's how the game's programmed. So learning how to reverse that is one of the first skills you're going to learn. And when you're going to deal with those U-boats, you're going to realize, well, I've learned that, but these guys are immune to my manipulation. They're still going to get that first hit in. And yep, that's why they are so scary.
Yeah, that's what makes them one of the most dangerous enemies in the game. And they come at a spot that's a lot earlier than you would like, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So Shauny, though, is out of the U-boat territory. Kainethebraine is actually right in the middle of it, so it's going to be rough. Monsters do have spawn rate chances, and when we call them territories, so you can find U-boats on 4, 7, 8, 9. but they actually do increase the chance to find them on every floor. So...
And Kane has found one. He went out of his way, and he luckily found a U-boat. What a guy.
Luckily, yeah.
But you can also, because they are underground, and sometimes you can see them underground from a distance, you can sometimes utilize passing of turns or kind of waiting to see if they'll even come towards you. So sometimes playing the patient game, especially around some of these enemies that we're going to encounter, you're going to see these runners. Sometimes playing the patient game, standing in place, and just letting it go by is the most advantageous decision.
Especially on U-boats, there is another option which is called U-boat dancing, and the concept is a U-boat cannot get out of the ground if you're actually stepping on its tile. So if you really don't want to mess with them, you can actually step on their tile and they're going to have to move away. And as long as you can keep doing it, you can actually create a better solution than the problem you're on. But if you bait new enemies into that encounter, you can actually end up in a worse spot than you were on.
Oh, absolutely.
So, it's always a risk-reward thing. U-boat dancing is not an easy thing to deal with, but at least... and Kainethebraine's actually lucky with his U-boat.
That was huge. Yeah.
And the other one, he also got a paralysis on. Ooh, and there's a pillar on Shauny's side, which dealt 22 damage to Kuni. Wow. Alright,
you're seeing Shauny on this right side here, on floor. It's actually from a distance. These crossbow trolls or whatever, they're no joke, and you have to deal with them quickly or don't deal with them at all. That's a decision you have to make ahead of time, because you can get chipped away before you get in a good enough position to be able to deal with what they've got going on, especially if you initiate that encounter with low HP to begin with.
And I think we could talk a little bit about Dreaming. We saw one on Shauny. That monster is little fluffy thing, and it's so cute. So these guys aren't really dangerous, except that they are the most dangerous thing potentially.
Yeah, it really is. It's funny. It's threat packed into a cute little pouch. That's for sure.
So it has kind of a high-ish HP, but very low defense and very low attack. And when I say very low attack, I mean it's gonna hit you with 1 damage. But it's got a special ability that you can use, and it has a low chance, but still a chance, to actually put you to sleep. So they hit for 1 damage. That's not really necessarily dangerous. So that's one of these buggers. But the dangerous part of it is, imagine that when you're actually in a room with other monsters in it.
Yeah.
And now that's not funny anymore. So
they can sometimes, they're one of the most dangerous when you have the threat of other things possibly collapsing on you. And they can also put your familiar to sleep, what leaves you in an awkward spot as well, especially if you're depending on mixed damage, as most runners do when they do this style of race. And if you look on Shauny's side, this is one right here, but they are worth a good amount of EXP.
Yes. And they can put you
there he goes.
Sleep can, we see it on Kuni's side. Sleep can last for a number of turns equals to 0 or 1 up to 25 turns. So if you're really unlucky, you can be sleep for quite a long time, and you really don't want to do that.
I'm going to talk a little bit about what Shauny did right here. It's a really interesting play, and it's super safe, and it's very intelligent. The way he did was he had his familiar go in front of him and initiate this fight. That way, when it did get put to sleep, even though it's only taking 1 damage, so there's very low risk, he was able to pick his familiar up and run the opposite direction. Now, while he's doing that, the turns are ticking for his pet for it to then wake up. So while he's got it held above his head and he's escaping, it woke back up. He dropped it in front again and repeated that same process. And he's digging some pretty decent EXP right here, man. With those, that's 3 Dreamins, I believe, just on this floor alone.
Oh yeah, he's ahead in terms of floor. He's ahead in terms of speed. He's got a better shield. Seriously, right now, he's in a good situation. Yeah,
he used the star trap just to get rid of, or the star glass just to get rid of it, and he's he is in a good spot. Now he's dealing with griffins, which they can do a surprising amount of damage. But this is the kite strat that you've seen him utilize over and over, and he's min-maxing, especially with this lead that he has. Whether or not he knows it, I'm not sure. But he's making sure that he gets the most out of every single step that he's taking, and that it comes back to Azure Dreams as a game that there's so much min-maxing.
Oh yeah, exactly. Action economy is definitely one of the things. What costs 0 turns? You should have a list of these when you actually start playing and see what options you have that actually won't make it go to the next turn. Like picking up an item on the ground doesn't take your turn. Putting it in your inventory doesn't. Throwing it or actually putting it down does. So knowing these kinds of little stuff and like all the optimization you can make there is what makes the difference between a good and a great player, in my opinion. But these guys know what their stuff, so they're going to be utilizing all that and then some more.
Oh, a pita fruit. That's a advantageous pickup right there. He immediately fed it.
Oh yeah.
It was familiar, and that way it's obviously not going to impact his inventory as much as he's just going to straight up feed that to his pet right here. But you can also.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say, at that point in Tower 410, you know that Cunie's probably around about 30 or 20 mana out of 100, and that fruit is recovering you 50. So, like, it didn't even check how much mana he had. Yeah. It was okay to feed it. There was no overheal.
Wow. His paralyzed one is coming through big. Paralyzed one is so nice to have when you don't have anything better, but it sometimes pulls through really big. Oh man, so he's passing through right here to regain his HP, and he's fighting a Dreamin' to get a significant amount of EXP right before he heads up. But on Shauny's side, he was in a pretty precarious situation.
Yeah, he saw one Kraken, and that's it. It costed the Hag Bomb, and there's another one.
Yeah,
they're gonna add up pretty quickly, my friend. It's gonna be rough.
Yeah, so now is when you don't hold back, right? There's certain enemies, and this being one of them, where you say, I throw whatever I got, because you don't risk it with certain enemies. And already these two Krakens, as well as some of the enemies that he's had to deal with along the way, are creating a situation where Kane's actually clawing back.
Yep, and you saw the Kraken actually use the Fireball charge, which is a resource. Didn't kill it. Then he actually used AI Manipulation. Didn't kill it. Then used Mixed Magic. Still didn't kill it, and the Kraken add an attack in. So imagine if he didn't use AI Manipulation plus one item resources, how much of that damage that Kraken could have done to the party. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So Shauny now on floor 14 at level 11. We're going up to...
Oh, yeah, he's 15 now. Wow,
yeah.
These guys are bailing it.
Yeah, they are... there is sometimes something to be said for, let me sit here a little bit before I go up and either sit next to the elevator and get my HP up, or maybe do some EXP grinding. We're going to get maybe exploring the level a little bit more, but at this point, both of these runners are pretty well equipped, or at least they have a good understanding of the resources they have on hand, and they're opting to move up quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, Shauny is one match down, so I really want to make sure that he makes it go to game 3. But right now, he's got the same weapon, a better shield, good resources. He's higher level on an higher floor. Like, I'm saying this, and it could all be done with just a bad trap or a bad enemy placement.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly, like, you just want to make sure that he keeps his lead. That's what he is. It amounts to.
Oh, so there he goes. He used the Tumna fruit in the turn. Now he can safely kill and get the EXP that the Kraken is worth, but at the same time not taking any risk. Removing the Kraken as a risk. But that is, like I said, that's one of the resources you want to hold on to and only use when you feel like you have to. So I know that it doesn't feel good to use those, but it also doesn't feel good to die. So
yeah, exactly. A Kraken is always worth at least one resources. Like 2 might be a bit much, and you don't want to lose all those resources on just the same floor. But you see a Kraken, use something. Don't face it. Yeah, that's just not the way to go.
There's a few enemies in this game that the survival is priority, and if I gotta dump everything, another Tumna.
And he's got a third one in his inventory. So
this is this is his move right here. There have been times where sometimes you just gotta sleep everything, or you just gotta frog everything, and that's just what the tower has given you thus far. Ooh, that's an unfortunate situation.
That new yell! Such disrespect! Wow. What's happening here? And the first hit was a miss, so I was like, "This is my elevator.
Yeah.
Get out of here."
He's gonna use a blaze ball on it.
Wow.
So that's an unfortunate. That single step that enemy took right there of movement had Kane concede the fact that he was probably gonna have to use force to deal with it. So not super beneficial, but an ice shield.
Okay, he might start to shield juggle. I don't know if he's got a Deeker scroll, which is kind of an important thing if you want to shield juggle the first time. Okay, so he's got a fire shield right now on, so you can see it. The center of the shield is actually red. Is he gonna do steel? Okay, yeah, he's not. He's not gonna shield juggle, I think. So that fire shield actually makes you turn into a fire monster as for damage taken anyway. So if you get hit by a water monster, you're gonna take extra damage. If you get hit by a wind monster, you're gonna take less. And if you get the 3 elemental shield at the same time, so fire, water, and wind, you can actually juggle those shields and change all the time to make sure that you're always at an advantageous position to actually take damage. And you need the 3 shields to actually do it properly, but even with 2 shields, you can always get at least neutral damage. But yeah, that's kind of a dangerous thing, because if one of those shields are cursed, you're stuck with it. And wind shield, the hurt shield actually it's called, if you have that always on, well, every trap is going to deal double damage to you. That's not good.
Ooh. Oh, it's just an upheaval, it looked like. But yeah, Don Fargo's actually bringing up a good point. 4 times malicious scrolls in Kane's inventory, and a restore scroll.
And a holy scroll, wow.
Holy, my goodness. So sometimes, I mean, sometimes you step on stuff, and you pick up these amazing items, and you're like, yo, I got this. And then you die, like, in 10 feet. Like, that's just the magic of this tower. But right now, I gotta imagine that both Shauny and Kane, and an egg, oh my goodness.
On floor 15, that can be great.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of good stuff that can come out of this.
So he's gonna feed a pita fruit. I always like, it says, I like what I'm eating. Like, I'm sure you do. It's food, right? Like.
And this is weird, because in this game there is a strange eating habits. So some monsters do.
And a pillar ball.
Wow.
What?
Right now he's looking at the inventory and is like, I don't know what to throw out, and this is the best problem you can have.
Yeah, he actually
feeded the medicine alert.
Wow.
You need to increase max HP by 1. Wow, you never see that in a run.
You
never see that in a run.
You know how bad it feels to say, these items are so good, I don't know what I have to get rid of. That is...
Wow.
That is just something you don't see.
So,
and
like you said,
blue sand.
Wow. Okay,
Oh,
this
my
tower is filled with good stuff right now.
Yeah. Kane is over here just loading up. He is stocking up to make a run. And Shauny over here is just grinding and taking floors the best he can. I did see him pop into chat and ask for a floor update, so he might have, based on the results that were given to him, an idea for what he wants to do. But he's dealing with a picket, so sometimes that changes your game plan there a little bit. But as you notice, he is utilizing his familiar here to have to deal with the picket, and you can't have any items stolen from your familiar. And so he was in a good situation where he's minimizing his risk, only getting hit by 1, and holding on to all that he holds dear.
Oh yeah. Right now, Shauny still has a floor advantage, so that is a good thing, and you want to make sure to keep that difference. But he's also got a very good inventory problem here. But you know that Kainethebraine right now is so full of everything. You can risk a lot. Like, that's not a problem. But you want to get out of that picket territory as quickly as possible, because that inventory is looking yummy for these bad boys. And they're going to steal everything you have and run away with it.
Yeah, sometimes you can actually have an amazing inventory where every single thing in your inventory you absolutely want to have, and Picket can come and steal it. And it might actually be the correct decision to then chase that guy around if you have the means to do so, because your items were that good. So obviously that's going to lose you time, and you're not going to be able to benefit as much from the quick maneuvering of floors. And one thing I did want to mention that that can oftentimes get overlooked, but when you're in the situation when you're having to actually do these runs, is a couple of different things. Sometimes you're going to see these runners seem to bolt from place to place. It looks like they're sprinting. When there's enemies a specific distance away from you, within, like, what is it, 8 steps, I believe?
Six square, I think.
Six steps. You can't do that. But if there's nothing near you, you can actually hold in circle and move more quickly. So you're seeing them weave that in, and that in and of itself is actually a hard thing to get really good at and know when it's, because sometimes you can run yourself into a bad spot. Also, you're seeing them cut corners, which is when you're going around a turn, you can put yourself in a position to actually save yourself a step. And that's another thing. It's small, but makes a difference. And the last thing I wanted to touch on is sometimes when you pick up an item from your inventory, you're choosing an item to use, something like an Oleem, you can accidentally drop the fruit as
yeah.
opposed to utilizing it, costing you a turn and oftentimes costing you your life if you're in a situation where you need to use that item to begin with. So there are a lot of things where just slip-ups can cost you the entire run. So you have to stay on your A game, have a game plan in your head, deal with what the floor has given you, and also like don't screw up touching buttons. Like that is a it always maintains a pretty important role.
That was another clown. Wow. So he hag bombed an unidentified egg and it clown. That hurts.
That's rough.
Maybe I can explain why he used an egg on this. This is called a Viper, the enemy, and it has a very, very high amount of HP. It's like 5 trucks taped together, and it has an okay defense, but also it has a special ability that makes it so each and every time it hits you, it decreases your maximum attack power by 1 permanently. But there are items in the tower to actually heal that status, but if you don't get any of these items, this is a permanent decrease in your attack power. So this is horrible. Each and every time you fight another one, it's worse than the one before because you're hitting for less. And they are, like I said, really tanky, so you don't want to deal with these guys.
Oh yeah, yeah, so and it's one of those situations where you, because of the way that the items in that work, don't ever want to just be like, I'm gonna depend on somewhere finding this item later on. Like that never wants to be your go-to. You don't ever want to be like, oh, okay, I'll just get a restore scroll eventually, or I'll be able to get rid of this attack down debuff that I have.
Yeah, no.
Because it's not going to be random whether or not the Viper is going to use that on you. If you see it, it's probably happened, right? That's a fact. So you have to play this almost 2 steps ahead chess game, just because you glanced a certain enemy 12 steps away. So you're seeing Shauny he's dealing with a little bit more than I'm sure he'd care to at this point, and using a clown egg, as you saw the impact of the clown previously, that is not ideal for sure.
Yeah, I didn't see when it happened, but actually Shauny is now sporting the Scarlet Wand, so this is a huge upgrade now. You know that. And he's gonna change for Nebrid. Wow. Okay, so he's got a Stream Wand, and CUNY has actually been changed into a water monster through CC. So right now we can do the actual same strategy he did with Brid and Scarlet One, but he can do with Water CUNY and actually the water version of the spell, which is something you're gonna see only Shauny do in our community. But this is a really interesting strategy.
And you notice how much Blizzard Sword did to that Viper. And it, he made a decision in that moment to, I'm just going to front load on focusing on getting through these things that are currently in front of me. And sometimes that's just the way you got to play, especially when you're dealing with Vipers and such.
Yep. The thing that is, the downside of that is really big. The spell is called Brid on CUNY's side, and it's actually a fire spell. And by changing CUNY into a water monster, makes it so that each and every time CUNY is going to level up, this spell is not going to follow. So that spell is level 16, I think, and it's going to stay 16 all the way. So the only reason why you see Shauny do this is, like I said, before Shauny do like to use CUNY as a fighter, and so it doesn't matter as much what level the spell he is at. So he's going to use a lot of AI manipulation and keep CUNY as a water monster and using mostly physical attack. He's still using mixed magic to finish up monsters, but yeah.
You got 7 charges on a binding ball. That's pretty beneficial, especially but he used 2 truth glasses. He figured out the charges he has left on. And it looked like he picked up an Oleem at the same time.
Oh, yep, the Oleem fruit. Yeah, 7 times binding is going to be big because it's the paralysis ball. And it's going to be from 0 to, I think it's 6 turns of the enemy monster cannot do anything. And Shauny is a big lover of when an enemy is paralyzed, the chances of actually picking up the enemy and throw it away is 100%.
Yeah.
So even though you might not want to fight the enemy, you can use a binding ball to just paralyze it, pick it up, and throw it away. And that become 100% safe instead of a 50-50.
Yeah, there are some things like, a limit fruit as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like he fed double limit fruit to Queen there. So like he's in a pita fruit. Wow. So he is definitely going all in with his chips on the I'm going to utilize this pseudo melee kiting damage that my familiar is able to do.
And we see our first block, and I think it's important to talk about this. Yes. So blocks have an insane amount of defense. So, like, probably he would be hitting for not even 10. They have low HP, though, so they have probably around 50-ish, which is still a lot of HP, but lower than what you would see in these 4 count. And also it has a range spell that can actually paralyze you from a distance. All these things put together makes block really, really problematic, and you cannot pick them up because they're so heavy. So, yeah, at the end of the day, they are a problem.
Yeah, it's... There's a lot of things that, especially if you're passed through this or if you're a new runner or whatever, you're going to find out most of these things by experience.
And dying a lot.
Oh yeah, I ran into a couple things, feeling real good, having some good, and then it was over just as fast as I thought it was going well. And fortunately, these runners both extremely experienced, extremely intelligent when it comes to figuring out what they want to do. And you saw, as soon as he saw that, as soon as we saw him see that, the gears started turning and he started figuring out what he...
Oh yeah, exactly. So right now, I think Shauny is dealing with much more Vipers than he wants to. There's a lot of them, and they're actually hitting CUNY for 32 damage. That's a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a copious amount of damage. That's you don't want to ever be seeing anything like that.
He's actually exploring this floor a lot, and the elevator doesn't want to seem to show up, but he's got it.
Wow,
now.
another block.
Oh, it's paralysis. That's okay. That is recovered. Oh, damn. Oh, I lost 5 years of my life just right now.
Oh man,
oh my god.
That was a really... It could have been really ugly.
Yeah.
Phew, that was rough. And remember on the other side... Oh wow, and same room elevator. So you remember that Kain is going through this with an inventory of the gods currently.
Oh yeah.
And there is a... There's a good chance that he's, sitting pretty and kind of taking his time and figuring out what he wants to do because he has the ability to do so. But he is running into a block right here, so you're probably going to see him utilize some of those resources. Oh, and a blind trap.
Oh wow, that is bad. Okay,
So,
you
yeah.
still remember where the enemy is? Is that it?
Oh, okay, he did.
Okay, yeah.
So.
But that doesn't mean there's not going to be another one. Okay, there was no other one. Wow. Oof.
Yeah, yikes.
It's still slowed a little bit, his pace, but he's got an exit loop. You know that using an exit loop on floor 22 is not what you would do normally, so he is probably watching, and we let players actually watch the stream and see where the opponent is. So he's using it to cut the distance between him and Shauny and put some pressure on him, because Shauny can actually play not slow, but slowish. Just because he knows that he has the time, like the floor count on Kain right now.
And Shauny just actually encountered his first stealth in the game, which are things that are they're surprising in what they're capable of.
Yep. Yeah, they are absolutely 100% capable of turning invisible just because they want. So sometimes if you know that they can do that, that's not as bad. That's going to be a surprise, but that's okay. The first time you play this casually, imagine that you're walking to a corridor and then Ko receives damage and it's written, question mark, hits you for 25. And you're like, what? Okay, I guess it was some kind of a trap. And then you step once again and then you still get hit by some 20-something damage. And you're like, I don't understand. And then you try to hit all around yourself and you're going to die.
Yeah, before you understand, you're dead.
Oh yeah, exactly. They don't hit that hard and they don't have that much of a defense, but yeah, just the fact that they're not physically there might be a problem. Mm-hmm. And so you don't necessarily, like U-boats, they won't always get the first strike on you. If you actually know where they will go, you can hit the square you think they're on, and if you guess right, you're gonna have the first strike on them. But yeah, other than that, they can surprise you very roughly, yeah. Oh, yeah, that doesn't work with that.
Yeah, I was about to say, what? Wow.
Because it's a prison trap, you don't want to mess with that.
So what Shauny is doing right here is you can actually utilize an item in the game that lets you see all traps and makes them visible, and you can actually get EXP for hitting some of them.
Yes, so at this point it's not worth a lot, it's worth 8 XP, but in the beginning this is a level up. Like, if the first item you find is a trap loop and you find a trap, that's a level up, like, instantly. That's really big.
Oh,
okay.
Yikes.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of water enemies on Shauny's side. He's gonna start to think this is
Yeah, and remember, keep in mind that he is in a water style of combat here.
No, he's changed
no,
back
he
to
did.
fire.
So he
Yep.
used the light seed at one point.
Yep. Oh, and he's confused now.
Oh, yikes.
He can still use ball charges, but I don't know. Okay, good. That 10 damage
Okay,
was
cool.
enough to do it. Good calculation there, because that was risky. If it didn't kill, it was going to be a problem.
So he must have had the light seed on him then, because I didn't see him pick.
Yep.
Okay.
I
Cool.
picked it after he changed it into water, so we knew he'd had it in his back pocket.
Yeah,
but
that-
I didn't know if he was going to use it, and he did, and I didn't see it do it.
Yeah, that I didn't see him use it either. That does, however, give you a lot more comfort and peace of mind when you are when you're making that decision to change a familiar's element.
Yes. Ooh, an
Ooh,
egg.
an egg.
Wow. Okay, so there was a legend on the said that your fodder sword, which you get for beating the game, actually can drop eggs, make enemy drop eggs, which is not true. What actually happens is if you're on a floor with vipers and there is an egg that is spawned normally on the floor, if vipers come into the room where it is, it's actually gonna stop everything it's doing and go to the egg and eat it. And you can act. Oh yeah, they are the worst. And when you kill them, they're gonna drop it. But also, like I said, vipers, when they hit you physically, they're gonna drop your attack power permanently. And if you hatch that monster into the tower, the monster that got into the belly of the viper, it's gonna have decreased permanent attack before it's born, which is actually the worst.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad. But there was an
Vipers, man.
interesting use of the trap there. But also, it cracks me up every time Kane opens his inventory because he's sitting on 4 malicious scrolls, 2 restores, a holy. He's actually at the point now where he might need to get rid of restore scrolls in order to pick up advantageous items.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you can see the hamster spinning in his head like, what's better than what, which is the best problem in the world. You really want to have that problem. Like when you don't know what to drop to make room for something else. This is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But this has come to show how good these players are, because the fact that he can even have that problem is the fact that he's not using his resources on every encounter.
Oh yeah,
So he can just
he's got
stock
them
up,
all.
yeah.
He is
Yeah,
stacked.
exactly. But he's stacked because he didn't use any, so that's
Yeah.
good. That means he knows what he's doing, and that's what's impressive. Like, I mean, play this game casually, guys, and you will see that you're not going to end up with an inventory like that before quite a long time. You need to play a little bit before you can actually achieve that, I think.
Yeah, it is definitely not something that comes immediately. This is a game that experience is king. You can research as much as you want, but until you're actively engaging and putting strategies to work, it is a different beast all in and of itself. And it's funny because it looks so innocent and it looks so so kind of silly and goofy from a distance, what with the character models and your pets and whatnot. But in actuality, this game is a beast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what I like about this game is the fact that the enemies in the tower, they do get exponentially stronger and they get bigger numbers, like more attacks, more defense, more HP. This is true. But what I really enjoyed about the game is the fact that these enemies all have some kind of a weird ability that you need to learn. So it's not only a numbers game, which you generally see in these kinds of roguelike. You just need to get stronger to fight these enemies that have better stats. No, they all have a little something that makes it so, like the stealth that turns invisible, these maneuvers that actually turns into items or transform into other monsters. These killers where their 2 ends are actually axes, and no, they're just a number game. These guys, it's like trucks.
Oh yeah,
He's actually gonna engage it. Oh
Wow, what is he gonna do?
No, you don't fight a killer.
He might decide to go the binding ball route. Oh, he's gonna use sleep. Okay.
Oh yeah, he needed to, because killers actually, it's probably around 50-60, and their trait is increased chance to get a critical hit. That could mean a one-shot. Like, even from 81 HP, this killer could make it all done in one go.
Oh yeah.
So, yep, you really don't want to see that.
Yeah, there are some enemies that you're like, okay, 21 on my code level, 83 HP. We'll see what this guy has, and what he has is a one shot, and you're dead. And sometimes that's just the truth of things. And like we said, experience being king. That really it couldn't be more true, because those are situations where you're gonna have to die a few times to figure out just what everything is capable of. But right now, as we're hitting the 47:40 mark on the timer, if Kane is indeed watching the stream, or if he's taking a look to see what floor Shauny is at, he's actually going to have to start moving.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We saw the cutscene at floor 31 for Shauny7188. So there is story in this game. I can try to make you to share the lore with you. So your dad died. One guy is a bad guy. Go up to the tower. That's pretty much it.
That's the whole story. You know more than you need to at this point.
Oh yeah, I might have explained a little bit too much. I'm sorry guys if it was convoluted. But so yeah, at the end of the day, Beldo is killed your father, and on floor 31 he sent a magical projection to tell you, oh, so you're the son of the guy I killed? Well, come and meet your daddy's fate. Oh, and I think this is really gonna be rough on Shauny's side. Does he have a room clearing thing? Oh no, he doesn't. There's a dragon, a glacier, and a golem in this, and there's even a sleeping. Oh, he's not gonna get out of this. There's no way. There's no exit close.
He got about 3 elevators in a row, a spring trap to a double elevator.
Oh yeah.
And he's paying for it. So he's gonna have to min-max his situation here, and this could be the opportunity that Kane desperately needs.
Oh yeah.
To get to where he is now. However, the time is now playing a factor, and even though Kane is stacked on items, he needs to start moving, because even if Shauny does take lethal damage here, it's still going to be an uphill battle to cover the 7-level disparity, the 7-floor disparity that they're looking at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But like you can see, like I was talking earlier, you can see the hamster spinning. Mm-hmm. But he's actually doing great. I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to survive, because this is one of the craziest 59 damage in one
binding ball on the dragon as well.
But then you want to make sure that none of these two guys do remove their paralysis at the same round. And there's this sleeping. Oh, this sleeping tyrant is coming back. And he cannot throw any. Well, he can throw the tyrant, but.
Yeah. But currently the paralyzed enemies here, they're actually too heavy to. So he's unable to throw them. So he's having to figure out what he wants to do. This third enemy is going to be, now he's trapped. So he's in an ugly spot.
Oh yeah, and everything is gonna kill him. So what is he gonna try and do? Probably try to paralyze also the, you put it to sleep.
Okay.
Do you want to run away then? I think that if you, nothing unsleep or unparalyze, you just run away.
You could pick up the, oh wow, and it's already bad.
Yeah, both, there's 2 enemies out at the same time, and he cannot tank. Yeah, no, that's it. Okay, he's trying to paralyze this one because the other one could attack Cuny.
Oh,
there's a kill. Wow. Okay, now you run. Oh my god, yep. And this is the last paralyze, so you want to pick up the other enemy.
He's gonna pick up the tyrant
and run away. And run away like all the hell. What is he doing?
He's going for it. He is going for it.
He's going to fight dragons.
He's going to try to take the dragon.
This is madness.
Had at any point during that interaction it became unparalyzed, it would have been over. That was
yes.
The cojones on this man to go for that play right there was immense.
But the payout is 1,000 XP, so that's kind of a crazy amount of packs, so that's really good. Okay, but he's not out of this. This tyrant is going to be a problem still, and we don't know how many charges on this slave ball is. So if there's at least 1 or 2, it might be good, but lower, like 0, it might be the end.
Yeah, he's scrolling through his items just to double check and triple what he has.
Yeah.
That's what. But my goodness. Wow.
Johnny in chat, that is just like, I will not die.
Wow. And like we said, that sleep ball, he had no idea if it had another. He was just 2 steps away to where he had at least another move. But wow, well done, Shauny. That was incredible. A lot of that was completely up to the faith of what the items he had. But you're seeing that huge binding ball come through massive on that spot. And the only way that was possible was because he made a decision 15 floors ago to identify how many charges it would have. So it just shows you how everything comes full circle, and you have to be thinking about every aspect of the game from a fairly early stage. So really, really crazy and well done. And he's going to go up to another floor. That was impressive.
Oh yeah, absolutely. 35 coming, and we hope he's not going to get into such a bad situation right off the bat.
Another dragon, that's not great.
No, dragons not only do it really hard and have high defense, they also can shoot fire from a distance, so you want to try and zigzag a bit to never be in a straight line with them, or else they're gonna shoot fire at you. Okay, so you see him zigzag a lot. Yeah,
exactly. And you're gonna see, like, when it comes down to it, your familiar is the least important out of the two of you. Somebody's gonna die. You're gonna let it be him. Oh, so there goes the sleep ball.
Oh, that's 50 damage. Oh, that's a lot.
He has a small opportunity here. Ooh.
59.
So he's gonna go with the kite strat.
But that's not gonna work. This dragon is not gonna die from an AI tree. No, it's not. He's gonna try it, but because there's no way out. But honestly, I don't think at this point you even want to try to equip Paralyze one just in case. If you're gonna throw everything at it, what are you even doing, man?
I don't know.
He's releasing. Oh yeah, that means he bend.
Yeah. Oh. He missed!
Oh no! That's a strategy actually! That's a glitch we discovered earlier! If you do that while having the monster in your hand, you actually turn that tile into a tile of invincibility.
Immunity, yes!
Yeah, but just that tile. And he's gonna take like 70 turns to actually kill this dragon.
Wow. But there you saw it. I've never even seen that glitch before. That is amazing. So by doing that tile immunity and then switching to the Paralyze wand, he had an infinite amount of turns, essentially, to throw Paralyze on that dragon.
And then run away. That's it.
Oh, no.
Okay, now that's the end. But at least he tried to get an extra floor. Honestly, he
could have done
the another paralysis. Yes, all right.
That was a run.
Oh, this was a run.
Those last two floors were some of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, the willpower and the fact that you never want to die in this game is really, really fun to see. Like a player with a little bit of skill to say, I am not gonna end up here. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
That was a series. That was a series of playing out of his mind. But he can make it to this elevator, and he has two.
No, he's not. That is a maneuver. And he needs to get it twice, which would result in around about 60 damage. And the other killer is going to make it so it's not possible. Yep. It's not going to work.
He's got to figure out, do you use Acid Rain?
It's already used.
Oh, did he use it already?
Yep, absolutely. I know he's got a stacked inventory, but it's gonna be
ugly.
Now. Yep, yeah, it is. And there is only 5 minutes to get to floor 35, so that's 1 floor a minute, and that's not looking like 1 floor a minute right now.
Yeah, and he's got to be very careful about using Malicious Scroll, because that puts him in a situation where he's got to then take a longer walk to the elevator.
Oh, that's it! And that's it! The Malicious Scroll didn't work, which makes it so you're confused and you can't attack any of the 8 squares surrounding you, but an unlucky streak right now just made it so that killer killed him, and that's it. We have a match on each side. Are you not entertained, guys?
That was nuts. That was...
Oh
man! After that series of moves from Shauny's side, that was just a chain of just wild chance-based thinking that turned into a fantastic spectacle. Kane on the other side with one of the best inventories I've seen in a minute.
Yes.
He just had something he couldn't deal with because, even though his items were really amazing, the order of which things came and ran into him, and obviously the very poor luck on that Malicious Scroll, that's just awesome. Sometimes that's just what it takes.
Yeah, exactly. The tower just decided that I don't care how many items you have right now. I'm going to throw 2 killers and a maneuver at you just 2 squares away from the elevator, and that's it. You can paralyze one of them, but then you're going to get hit by the 2 others, and pretty much you just got overwhelmed, and that's really sad. But that was a race. I mean, both players did do a lot with the resources that were thrown at them, and it's just how the game is. This is the mistress we chose.
Oh yeah, that was a treat. You guys, both of these games, and you from the very first match that they played, the difference in it was intense, but it was intense in a decision-making process and whatnot. And then you see in that one where it comes down to the wire of throwing everything in the kitchen sink and just hoping that you make it out. It's crazy to see such a stark contrast from just a run that happened less than an hour ago. So. But
absolutely.
I guess if these runners are ready, we might as well get into it quickly so that we don't burn up any more of this estimate's time here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna see if Kane is ready, and as soon as I get an okay from him, like I see that he's ready on screen, but I just need to.
Yeah, and Shauny says to give him a sec, so we are going to.
Oh, okay, yeah, probably bathroom break or everything. I think
Yeah.
I'm gonna catch up that bathroom break if.
Yeah, absolutely. And while you're gone, I will talk
Thank
a
you.
little bit more about the rules. Refresh the squad one more time. Again, guys, this is Azure Dreams. My name is Professor Palmer. The amazing commentary from the guy aside of me is Sam Knight, another runner of this game. Kane and Shauny are your two runners, both at a match apiece, and we're going into the deciding match here, which is pretty exciting. A lot of these, because of the RNG, can sometimes end up in 2-0s, but we're getting to see the very best of the best that this run has to offer. So I'll go ahead and refresh you guys on the rules right quick. This is a rock to the top style race, which is a rule set from a tournament we currently have going on. You have an hour to reach as high as you possibly can, with floor 40 being the max. Now, if one runner dies at any point, if he is the runner that is on the highest floor, the runner that is on the lower floor and still alive then has the opportunity within the time remaining to then go up to that same floor, match it, and then go up one more additional one to be the victor. Otherwise, there can be a tie in that situation. But if there is a tie, the runner that reached that floor first is the one that's going to get that point. Aside from that, if the player on the lower level dies, then the match is going to be immediately over at that point. So at this stage in the run, we might see the runners do some crazy things. We might see them go back into the strategies that they're familiar with for consistency's sake, but you really could see a lot of things. There is merit to going straight up into this is game 3, and we're going to do it the best we can and risk it all. Or they could go the complete opposite direction and saying that if I can just survive longer, I'll be the victor. But anything could happen, and I don't know if the runners are ready, but soon we will be jumping into that final match.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Shauny just took one. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's all right. He gave us a chance to show that, so might as well make you make a little bit of money. So yeah, that's good. Oh, yep, but the tower decided otherwise. Yep. Next madness. I think that's the word you're looking for. All right, see you guys. Nice.
Alrighty, thank you so much. I've taken a much needed sip of water and stretched a little bit because I was a bit tense after what we just witnessed there. But
Yep,
we are
there
now
was
we're now beginning the third match, the deciding match in this race, and you guys have been here enjoying it the whole time. So
Oh yeah, and we've seen the madness. Now everybody in chat knows what this game can bring to the table. So we need a victor, though. We need someone who actually wins this all and have the bragging rights forever and ever for the actually first ARPGME Azure Dreams run. So if you want to be able to come into the Discord and say to everyone that you're the winner, we need an actual third match. And this is going to be hype as all hell. These guys have shown, like, match one, Kainethebraine took it all. It was incredible. Definitely always had the lead and kept it until the end. Same happened on run 2. Shauny had the lead all the time. Made sure that y'all was always at least 4 or 5 floors ahead. Even though he got into a crazy room with a dragon, a golem, and a glacier, he still got out of this unscathed. And right now, we will see who actually is going to win it all.
yeah, and to see the decision making on display from both of these runners it's impeccable. Between both of them, Shauny getting out of a room that as soon as I saw it, I thought, oh, this is done. That was crazy. And then on the flip side, Kane in the floor that he ended, he threw everything he had in an effort to, like, he had a play in his head. He was looking at 3 enemies in a terrible spot. But the wheels turn so quickly for these guys. They're expert runners and they're incredible with their decision making. And he had a play there. The malicious scroll really cost him when it screwed him up a little bit. But it wouldn't have been surprising to both see them get out of that. And if you're a runner that's first picking up this game, there's no way. As soon as you see that, you might as well turn the console off, because that decision making is not something that comes right away. This is just, you're seeing pure experience.
Yes.
Pure enjoyment of the game. It's really pulling through. So we are in for a treat, and let's figure out what's going to happen next.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can talk a little bit about Shauny7188 is actually one of the OG part of the Discord. So I actually woke up one day and said, well, this game absolutely needs a speedrunning scene. And even though Shauny was one of the runner and the Darcis was the other one I knew, this was not a big community, but he just jumped in and we decided to actually make it happen. And this community is not even 3 months old, and we're already closing in on 200 members, which we might actually have just done like today. And so it just built from the beginning. Shauny has a ton of experience. He knows this stuff. He was a runner before I actually was one, and you can absolutely see this in his playstyle. Even though it's wildly different from the other player, it's still as effective as long as he knows what he's doing, and he does. Kainethebraine is another story, though. He came in one day into the Discord. Nobody knew him from wherever. He just came in and said, what are the categories in this game? And we were like, well, you probably should start with First at 10, which is an introductory category that's been made for new people to actually get into the path and get a feel of the game. And he said, like, well, okay, that's cool. What else is there? And we named all the categories, and we ended up talking about Bookless, which is at that time, it was a 10-hour plus run. And he was like, okay, yeah, that's my jam. He ran 10-hour runs 2 times a day for like 2 weeks. This was madness. And now he's one of our greatest runners. Like, he's played so much, and we actually have a tournament running with the same rule set, and Kainethebraine was not even a part of it. So he actually saw us play, liked it, and when we actually wanted to do a match, he practiced it, and he said, I think I'm ready. I could do a match. But in the tournament setting, like a real match, not just practice, it's his first attempt, and he is giving out a show.
Yeah, no, he's doing incredible. It's nuts, and this cannot be understated. That start playing this game, you kind of your comfort zone, and like, this is the style of how I want to play the game. There's 2 people that can be very similar, but they're still gonna have like these key differences, and like the ability that to play and the way that their decision making works. And it's just from run to run. Obviously, the tower is going to be completely different, and no run is going to be the same. But no runner is the same either. It's so diverse. I actually, the way I got into it was the previously mentioned tournament that the Sam Knight and myself both mentioned. I, without any experience in the game, got asked to do it, did it, and here I am a few weeks later doing commentary because I enjoyed the aspect of it and just how this game operates. And it really is, like, if you guys get into it, it is such a party game. Like, you can do these best of threes at any point. I'm sure that this community, with its bustling growth and how well these are being received, these little races and tournaments, that this is just the peak. Or this is just the base of it all, and the peak is far away from what this community is capable of, and the entertaining activities that might come along the way. This is nuts.
Absolutely. And I see in chat Goreka talk about the ARM, which is an actual part of the game. You can get out of the tower, and when you play casually, you can actually build your town, rebuild your house, and make new building in towns, like a bigger temple, build an hospital and stuff like that. And you can absolutely date all the girls of your age in town. There are 7 of them, and the actual bookless category, the one I said Kainethebraine actually jumped into, the 10-hour plus category. That's what you do. You build the old RM, you rebuild everything in the town, and then you do a full run of 40th floor of the tower. I said it's a 10-hour run because it's what it was before Kane entered the ring, but it's now we dropped it down to 4 hour and a half. So, like, he might not be as experienced in the tournament racing setups, but in terms of knowing, like, base knowledge of the game, this guy's up there with everything. Yeah,
this is just one of those games that, like, however you get the knowledge and the more you know, the more you benefit from however you play it. Like, it's not going to, learning bookless is not going to hurt your ability to perform in the first to 10 or first to 40 even. So it's just playing and grinding out attempts. That's how you get better. But the luxury that this game has is that grinding out isn't a standard grinding out, because you're not going to be doing the same thing over and over and over again. You're going to be doing something different every single time. And to that point, I actually wanted to mention, on that tutorial screen, I don't think we mentioned it previously, but both of the runners, you notice, as soon as they get to that elevator on the first floor, they actually cut to the right and drop to that lower platform. And the reason that they did that, if you're familiar with the game, is to skip a bunch of dialogue that you would get right before you hit that elevator. It's such a common thing now that I sometimes forget that it's even taking place. But if you're wondering what the heck, why would they keep doing that? It's longer around, obviously, but it definitely saves time if you're not having to listen to all the talk. Yeah,
exactly. And even if it didn't save any time, just if it was like an even ground, just not having to listen to CUNY talk to me, I think it would be worth it still.
Oh yeah.
So he is powerful. Like, as a pet, you can absolutely find better pets.
Yikes!
What happened? Go up trap?
We had Kane run into a flame.
Okay.
And that was all she wrote.
Is he dead?
Yes.
Oh man! Wow! What happened? I didn't see any of this.
Oh, that's the most Azure Dreams thing I've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely. That's the game.
This run and the last one.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think we can give the point. We like Shauny won, absolutely. Yeah, I did, dude. But we're definitely gonna do another match. I think it's worth it at this point. I think everybody's hyped for another one.
That's the...
Yes. You gotta understand that this happened much more than we let on. Like,
that is the tower, my friend.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I've done some practice run this week, and I got like to floor 40, 32, and 5.
Yeah.
That's just the game, man. But yeah, wow.
He hit a flame, and flames at low floors are famously awful to run into because they have the ability to cast a spell on you. They can do a stupid amount of damage.
Yeah, and they absolutely need to be killed with 20. They have 20 HP, and when you even use the fireball, if you're at level 1, it only deals 16. So that's not even a kill to spend a resource, so that's horrible.
So we can, it seems like the runners are down friendly, at least one more match. Say, if you're willing, are you going to stick around? And
oh yeah, absolutely. I want to see the end of it. This was not a true ending for me. Like, this was the ending that you haven't done 100% of the game. I want to have the true ending. Like, the 100%.
Let's. Well, Shauny, if you're willing as well, we'll start over. We'll pretend it never happened.
We were ready for yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody seems to be ready for it, so I'm gonna count them down, and we're gonna redo the 6 minutes of introduction. Okay, we're gonna reset and set up.
Yeah, this is, as Don mentioned in the chat, this is what this. I think my first race ever, I got to like floor 6, and it took like 30 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, well, I did it. I didn't die. I mean,
can we talk about the any percent time?
Oh yeah.
Okay, the any percent first run on leaderboard right now to get to floor 40 is 39 minutes. I don't know if you guys know, but this is absolutely crazy. By Darcis, one of our our biggest runners in the game, and 39 minutes is madness. That did include a lot of luck, but the plays he made during that run, and you can absolutely watch it on the leaderboard if you go into speedrun.com. That's where we are. And yeah, we have a pretty active community. I mean, we do have probably around about 20 runs submitted per week, which is kind of a lot for a new game.
Oh yeah, and to that same point, any percent to floor 10 is only 3 minutes, and that is insane in its own right. To get to 10th floor in 3 minutes and 6 seconds, that's
from Captain Luigi. This guy has put the hours on, and he probably ran it's such a short run. He probably ran it like 200 times in a row, and actually got a 306, which does include I don't think he fight once.
No, oh yeah.
Just gets elevator or run pretty quickly, doesn't get into an encounter, and you end up finding the elevator before he needs to fight. But he completely broke the category. Yeah.
That's madness. It's ridiculous. But there is multiple categories for this game. You find what fits you. And in fact, the good thing is, if you do a 440 attempt and you make it up to 28, well, you can submit those times for both first to 10 and first to 20. So you're not having to do specialized things. You can just throw on a timer, get as high as you can, and whatever you're able to fulfill, you can then submit those that same VOD in different highlights or what have you for those multiple categories. So
yeah, absolutely. Because when I started to run this game, I was much less experienced, of course, and much of my races would die on 20-something. And it was heartbreaking to actually go day in, day out, practicing the game and not making it to 40. And I thought at some point I would just stop running the game, because it was like, if you don't achieve any times at least once a week, not even a good time, just a time at all. And that's when we thought about accepting multi-submitting and making new categories. So first at 10, first at 20, and first at 30 are categories where you only need to get to that floor, and this is a category in and of itself. So like Palmer said, if you go to floor 25 and die there, that's not a dead run. That's a run where you can actually submit at first at 10 and at first at 20. Yeah, exactly. So that's much more art lifting. Yeah.
And it's very runner friendly. To help you learn this, the community put together an incredible, just ton of info on a piece of paper, basically. And there is very reasonable amounts of information for you to get to know what you feel like you need to know. If research is your thing, if you just want to grind out playthroughs to learn, then you can do that as well. Like, this game has a very low barrier to entry, but as you've seen by some of the plays that these two players have made, the ceiling of skill is not even in sight. It's ridiculous.
Yes, and exactly like Panda Capre says, I have made a series of YouTube video if you prefer to watch instead of read. There's that option also. I don't cover everything, but I cover more than the basics you need. A few advanced stuff just to give you an idea of where you might want to go. And practicing those things are going to be enough for you to see a lot of progress in a short amount of time. And then you can hit us up and say, okay, I've learned and mastered every of these things, what else can I learn? And we have a lot of things, don't you worry.
There is I think that every runner that they might learn something new every single time they do it. Like it's that's just the way things are in this game. It's constantly changing, constantly surprising, and you'd be you're gonna have a laugh. Like, I'll say that much, because I can't tell you how many times I just in the 4 or 5 floors was like cracking up and in tears because things were just absolutely wild. Or then I died on floor 2 to a flame. Like it happens like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Captain Luigi in chat just plugged the actual finals. We are at the end of our tournament, which use the exact same setting as what you've seen today. We actually are going to do a grand final, and it's going to be me against him. So me and Knight against Captain Luigi, and it's going to be Saturday, May 11th, so this week at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is going to be a blast. This has been a long tournament. We're actually 2 months in. And this is going to be the culmination of whatever we've done and all the madness. And if you want to see more of this game, well, we actually are going to do one extra match.
Yeah, so here we are. We're starting over again. And like I was talking, you're going to see it towards the end. They're both going to drop to the platform below to skip the text. So we didn't get the opportunity to see it at the same exact time. As I mentioned it previously, so the runners figured they would start over and allow you guys to get that luxury.
That's what happened. Okay, makes more sense.
Exactly.
We're like, okay, no, Palmer explained it after, so we need to correct that wrong. Yep.
Yeah, so he's Mash. To answer your question, I'm just gonna say Mash, man. Every time I try to say the first few letters, I screw it up. But they are zips to a degree. When there's not an enemy within 6 tiles of you, you can hold in circle to run at demon speed, which is what you're seeing them do. Now, obviously, the annoying familiar is doing what the annoying familiar does and stopping you every few steps to tell you some information that you know because you've done this 500 times. But aside from that, you zip where you can, and you're going to see, like, that's a good way to identify the different levels of expertise. Like myself, as I got more and more comfortable with just playing the game, I started to, use the sprint, essentially, more and more. But, like, my first couple races, dude, I was taking a step at a time. Like, I would press the D-pad once. Like, I was doing singular inputs for every step because I was like, I don't know what is going to happen to me.
Oh yeah, but that's the way you need to attack this game, because you cannot go just fast if you don't know what you're doing. Every step might be run-ending if you don't do the right one. Moving diagonally, changing the height difference between you and the enemy, picking up stuff. This is, if you're getting chased by an enemy, dude, you don't want to fight and you're running away. If you don't do your... Wow! Man, these runs! 2 crazy matches and then 2 matches that get hit in the face right away.
Wow, and into an immediate, he picked up the wooden wand, and I might be in a pretty good spot. The wand right away, and the elevator's right there. Oh man, this is something else.
That one is completely useless now, because if you don't use Mixed Magic, that's just stick.
Yeah, he does have the luxury, however, though. Shawnee is in a pretty unique situation to where now that he fight these enemies, he's going to be receiving more EXP than he would if she was still alive. Now, however, like, is it worth it? Does it equal, is it an equal payoff? Absolutely not. Like, you would much rather have your familiar at your disposal, pretty much always. So he is in a weird situation, man. We went from 2 of the most intense cerebral matches I've seen in a good while to now this is Azure Dreams, my friends.
Yes.
Ooh, and a vital sword.
Oh yeah, this is still gonna be interesting though. You gotta understand one thing. We do change our playstyle when we lose CUNY. And because this is more risky, like, you cannot fight as much. And you're gonna just run away, dodge, do everything in your power, use more resources, of course. If the tower wants to be mean, then you will just die because you're CUNY-less, and that's a thing. But if you actually end up with a tower that is not too bad, we actually do run faster when we are CUNY-less, because we don't fight. And you do subtract the time you would be fighting from the equation, which make it so we have seen runs where a player not having CUNY actually just won because he didn't take as much risk and actually ended up winning. So that doesn't mean anything. Yeah, he's at a big disadvantage. Like Palmer said, that's the real thing. butt ag at least, that doesn't mean the run is done.
Yeah, no, he is, and he is immediately like the ability to, this is how I until I have a better option. He immediately switched to his sword. He immediately started using high-level terrain to get an advantage. He's utilized a lot more charges from his fireball than you would otherwise see this early on. So, you know, this is just, again, that expertise of a runner to know and recognize the situation he's in and play around that in the situation he needs to. And he's already level 4. You can see this. The EXP difference is immense to have have a familiar not with you. Like, the difference of EXP level 5 already is going to be a big deal. Now, if he can somehow really soon pick up a restore scroll, then he might be in a really good spot.
Absolutely. Or find a good shield, or maybe even a good weapon. Well, the shield would be more of an upgrade right now because he doesn't want to fight as much, but tanking is definitely the way to go here. But he's shot with all the wands in the world.
It's almost like it's doing it on purpose.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. We always make jokes about how Shauny is useless, but honestly, running without it, it's even worse. Like, that's sled. Yeah, that's not really good.
Yeah, the sled is what ended the last run.
Yep, exactly. Just a bad sled.
But unfortunately, he's at a spot where he's a little bit higher level than you would use. So we can probably dispatch these enemies with a lot of risk. But when you are running without a familiar, your priority is, especially in this race setting, is you just got to start running up floors, because it is a matter of time before you encounter something you're unable to deal with.
Yes, exactly. An ice shield. That's good. Nice. Yep. So the ice shield, like we talked about, the fire shield last time, makes you turn into a water monster. So fire monster is going to hit you for less, water is going to be neutral, and the wind monster is going to have an advantage against you. The good thing, though, is that wind monster generally are based around status elements. So, I'm sorry, the wind monster generally aren't in too much of a bulk, and yeah, a few of them do it really hard. But most of the time, it's not that bad at all. So you can deal with having a water shield, and it's gonna help you a lot with these fire monsters.
And he also picked up a steel as well, so he's got that in his back.
Oh wow! Okay, so you have options to juggle. That's good.
Yeah. So Panda actually asked, could Blue Collar help this? Santa, you want to go ahead and explain to why? I mean, first of all, I'll say that like if he has an edge to use, he can absolutely hatch it. Like, he's not required to go through this familiar list. It's just not going solo and getting that solo EXP and doing the damage the way he is probably is better, especially with just the Palumpa he has now.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
probably still the more advantageous route.
If you find a good egg, yeah, you might want to fuse with the blue collar. Fuse the Palumpa into it, because he has a Palumpa in his inventory. But the Palumpa in itself is absolute garbage. It doesn't have any... It has 40 mana instead of 100. It's really like a low amount of damage. It cannot tank, and it has low HP and low defense. So realistically, you never want to use it. There's one reason some people do use Palumpa. If you fuse a monster into it, it learns the heal. But yeah, no, that's not worth it at all. Not with 40 mana, that's too low. But Palumpa can be fused into another monster to awaken a dormant spell. That might be a reason to do fusion later on. But you need to find a good monster with a dormant spell that is good. Like a Bloom. A Bloom would be a good choice. But other than that, I don't see any.
Or a Clown.
But a Clown spell's already awoken, so the Palumpa would have an help. So,
for the Palumpa? Yeah, no. You throw that. Let's be real. You toss. Like, that's really the best.
Yep, absolutely.
In a casual experience, like, there's absolutely merit to mixing and matching and fusing things and having your familiars have a wide range of abilities and things that they can utilize, heals and what have you. But in this situation where you're just going for, you need every ounce of value out of everything you have on you, then you just can't afford to go that route. Passive and defensive is usually picked up second. Like, that is usually the secondary thing. The first thing is to just get to the exit. But you're seeing him right here. He's baiting. He wanted to get a little bit more HP out of that. It's unfortunate. One thing that I don't think we mentioned, or if we did, I can't remember. But to clarify, whenever those Manevas, they split, the copies that they make of themselves are exceptionally weak.
Yes.
They're not strong, so in that situation, you saw him use the Palumpa to get rid of the main body, and then he knew he could take the second one without much issue, because those are, like I said, very, very weak. However, if they do gang up and there's 10 of them, then you're still in a bad spot, but as far as like being able to dispatch them one at a time, it's not really that big of a threat.
Yeah, they're not dangerous, but they're going to take time. If you dispatch them one at a time, then it costs a lot of time, and if you decide to just run away from them because they're not worth time, well, then at that spot, you cannot use demon speed because there's an enemy in your side. So you definitely need to actually take care of them, which costs time, and that's bad.
Oh, yeah, there's a... Oh, man, look at this. This is a Shauny situation right here. He's got Blooms chasing him on 4-6, and he found the exit. Nice job. That was... Whew. That was a situation where he could have been in
a tight spot.
A tight spot, but you're noticing now that Kain on the left side, he's already on floor 8. He's a level down as far as like Ko's actual level, but as far his survivability and his ability to dispatch any enemy he comes across is significantly greater.
Yeah.
So Shauny's going to have to get creative.
Oh yeah, and Shauny used actually the star glasses to, which reveals the entire floor, and
did he use it on that last floor?
On floor 7, because you know right now floor 7, 8, 9 is U-boat territory.
Oh yeah.
And you don't want to mess with any of those bad boys right now, so you want to see where the exit is.
Precarious situation. He's just going to choose to opt into running away from this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if it doesn't get into oh yeah, he's good. But then there's still 2 other floors with these U-boats on it. So you can see Kainethebraine actually dancing with the U-boat. Yep, exactly. And now he's ahead. He can get out of the room without fighting. Doesn't mean he's out of the wood, but at least he got that room cleared.
The treasure loop. So the treasure loop is interesting, right? Because treasure can actually only be in rooms.
Yes.
Which at least, like, it doesn't show you the exit, but at least by seeing on the map where the treasure is, you can actually tell that, okay, there's a room there. So that at least lowers the guesswork of having to figure out where the nearest room is to find the next exit. So it does have value, albeit much smaller. But
oh, this steel shield on Shauny's side is doing wonders because he's taking hits. Yeah, he's taking hits with his face because he knows he cannot fight. This life one is gonna lifesteal 1 health back to him, and it's gonna hit for like 5 damage. So it's not worth fighting right now. Yeah. But the steel shield though is really big. Like transforming those 8 damage into 5s is what makes it so he can actually do it for a while. And he's actually full HP now. His HP's coming back, so it's good.
Yeah, like we mentioned previously.
Oh, he saw the balls and he wants it. Oh, the greed!
It's binding though. That's big.
That's big.
That's probably worth it, especially if it's got a decent amount of, basically 10 points of damage right there. But as I was saying, every few steps, you're gonna regain 1 HP. You can also choose to stay in place and pass your turn.
Yes.
Mahel Seed. But you can choose to pass your turn in an effort to just gain HP back. But while you're doing that, enemies.
Oh, what I just realized though is that Kain has been booking it, seeing that actually Shauny has to. And what's interesting is that he's on floor 9, but on level 6.
Yep.
And level 6 is really low.
Oh, Shauny is facing a clown with the exit just past it. He's gonna give him a healthy to allow him to move a little bit more quickly. Can he pull this off?
Oh yeah, he did.
He got 2 turns.
Wow. The plays there.
That was a big brain play. So what Shauny did right there is you have a chance to pick up an enemy that's light enough to be picked up, and because he used the Mahel Seed, he had 2 turns because he technically was sped up. So when it didn't pass the first turn, when he was unable to pick it up, he had a second chance, and that chance gave him enough to be able to pick that up and throw it away. That was a huge play.
Yeah, maybe we can talk a little bit more about picking up monsters. So that is a 50% chance of working. If it doesn't work, then you end up having to drop the monster down in front of you, and it gets a turn there, so you get it in the face for it. But when it works, you have the monster in your hands, and you can actually continue to walk. You can throw it away, or you can drop it down. If you throw it away, it does go, I think it's 8 or 9 square away from you. So you can actually
hurl them, dude. You can
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Ko doesn't skip Harm's Day, so he's all right. He's buffed.
Yeah. Oh, so he's picking up the, and again, like Sam, if you paralyze an enemy first, you have a T to pick up that enemy. if they are in fact light enough to be picked up. You saw previously when he tried to pick up a dragon, that just doesn't happen. It doesn't matter if they're paralyzed or not. Some enemies are just too heavy.
Yeah, the reason I think why he didn't remember dragon cannot be picked up is it's the only exception in this game, but if you have a dragon as a pet, you can pick it up. So I think that's the reason why he remembered, like, he thought he remembered that you could pick up dragons, but you cannot really, And he found a Hulim, and it
was crazy.
Oh yeah, and there's a Hulim on the floor, and it's insta-use. That's
and
just
gone.
like, yep, it's gone.
Oh, a limit fruit, but I don't know what he chooses. Ooh,
yeah, I saw him pick up the egg, and right now he want to make sure that it's good, but he doesn't have a.
Yeah, you have no idea what this is gonna be. Like,
nope,
within
exactly.
reason. So he's gonna sit here and waste turns. Now, while he's heating up the egg, it is actually consuming turns. So there is an opportunity he has to have monsters, just show up. However, you can stop heating up the egg and continue heating it up after you've dispatched them or gone up a floor. But it's not a short process.
No, it takes one turn each and every time the number actually increases, and it increases a random number between 1 and 4 each and every time. Right now, you would want to see a clown or a bloom. You don't want to see a dreamin' or a balloon. No, that is bad. Actually, okay, if he finds the okay, that's not that bad. If he finds the
if he gets a blue collar and a restore scroll.
No, if he finds a blue collar and fuse it into the balloonpa, he can actually make it so that this balloon learns breath.
If I'm not mistaken, though, I think he already tossed the balloonpa.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Okay, that's not gonna work then. This monster is garbage. It's gonna die pretty early. Yep.
It might just be good for absorbing a couple of max, and that's about it. But the amount of time that it took to get this enemy out, or to get this familiar out of its egg, was probably less advantageous. Ooh, and a poison trap, man.
And he didn't know about it, but the fact that it would have been a better idea to actually egg bomb the egg. Like right now, seeing this balloon is disheartening. Yeah.
Yeah. It would have been. Of course, there's for him to be here just chasing him. It was kind of his own. The value that you would have gotten off of tossing this thing is a lot greater. A pillar ball's not bad though. A pillar ball is definitely going to help him at least survive 1 or 2 more encounters.
Another pillar ball! Wow. Oh my god! All right.
And he's already used all his fireball, so he was able to get rid of that and better fire item.
Pillar ball actually is a stronger version of the fireball you get in the beginning, so it deal more damage, and the number of charges on there can be in between 4 and 7. So there's a very low chance of it to be less than the actual 5 you get on the fireball. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it does a giant pillar of flame that goes through the roof. It's really powerful.
But on the other side, Kain, in a situation where he's not dealing with being familiarless, is finding floors rather quickly without having to deal with a whole lot of stress on the way. However, he immediately zoned into this encounter right here, and he's going to use a Tumnah on the Kraken. That was a pretty unfortunate spot to be in, but now he's going to chase this frog down.
And the balloon is being sacrificed to the tower god. That's what it was worth anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we've come to expect. Nobody's surprised. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what's not really good. You just couldn't know beforehand what it was going to be, but as soon as you see that monster, you're like, well, that wasn't worth it. And you just throw it out to actually run away once.
So he's got, like, the amount of EXP you could get from these dreamings right now, especially solo, could be huge, but the potential that they could sleep you
and
would
the
put
other
you in a terrible spot.
Yeah, the bad thing here is that also Shauny is low level, so they're not going to hit for 1, and he also has a water shield, and these monsters are wind, so they have an increased advantage. They hit for 5.
Is his water shield cursed? Because he does have a steel one on hand, I believe.
Yep, I would change it to... Okay, what he did there is a pretty smart thing, and that's one of the skills you can actually learn when you play. When you have a monster in your hands, and you throw it at another one, if you are in a corridor and there's at least 6 squares of distance between you and them, when they both gonna impact on each other, it's gonna reset their AI, and they will turn around and go the other direction. So it will act as a wall, and the monster are gonna be, okay, we are in a dead end, so we need to go the other way around. that is a really crazy skill to get. It's highly situational, and it's not worth the risk of picking up the monster. But if you already have a monster in your hand because of a prior engagement, well, use it for that.
Yeah, exactly. And for the record, things that are asleep, I believe that those are 100% guaranteed option to pick those up.
Yep.
And the uniqueness about sleep is that a monster is obviously asleep and it's not going to come at you, but as you start to move around it, there is a chance it can wake up and come and fight you. So, especially in Shauny's situation where he doesn't necessarily have the tools, he's going to pretty much pick up anything that's asleep, but now he's running for his life.
That's a lot of Krakens and stuff. Oh my god, yep. So...
what is he going to do here? Is he going to use a pillar? A pillar doesn't kill...
Nope, doesn't one-shot Krakens, especially at that level. I don't know what he wanted.
And at the same time, on the other side, Kain has 4 floors.
Oh, yeah.
In the past couple minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow, what a move. Shauny's going for the book in it route, which, you know, I can't disagree with.
Oh, but he's going to get out of it. Wow, that's good.
Wow, at full HP.
Yep.
That was an impressive feat right there. Shauny moves up, but to what degree? Because over on the other side, Kain is living comparatively.
Oh yeah, he's having fun. But that's a good example of sheer willpower, where Shauny's not gonna accept death. Yeah, I'm in a tough spot, but he's gonna go
and
at it.
And here he goes to 15.
Yep, 15. Only 2 floor difference now. Sorry, go on.
No, you go ahead. Continue, man.
I was just gonna say on Kainethebraine side, he's actually 2 enemies with paralyzed one, which ended up being a paralysis on each hit. And you gotta understand that the paralysis chance is around about 5%, so 2 in a row is kind of gigantic. Alright, so we're gonna see AI manipulation on Kainethebraine side to make sure that he actually can fight, but that miss is gonna be costly. Shauny is still stuck in the position of actually having to use resources, and there's an egg! Oh, he's absolutely gonna eat that egg right away. So each and every time you see that number go up, this is 1 turn that has passed, so monster can actually close in on him. And he can stop whenever he wants. Oh, did we talk about those Maniva? There's 2 crystal on Kainethebraine side, and you see him turn around.
Yeah, he knows. We did touch on that earlier.
Yeah.
To return to that point for anybody who's just now joining.
As those 2 shields, that's the same.
Oh yes, as you get higher, Maniva can actually transform into items that they're near. And you can Shauny actually did a really creative strat earlier, and he threw an item down so that when the Maniva got close enough to it, it turned itself into it, and he was able to avoid the fight. But when you see items right next to each other like that are the exact same...
Oh, a clown!
Wow! Wow! No
oh my god!
way.
No, this race is crazy.
So, all of a sudden, the fast 15 floors do not matter. This is where the race begins. Because a clown absolutely. Is... And look at it. Look at this.
Oh, yeah, he's just making inventory space.
A clown is massive.
Oh, yes.
The clowns are so strong. They have a ranged magic ability that does a ton of damage. Now, they do consume magic a little bit faster.
That's not so bad.
It's super manageable for how strong they are. And you notice right there, Shauny just got a peep of where the exit was because of the screen loading in. So you can do mixed magic. You can do damage from afar. These clowns are super versatile. Now, however, they're kind of squishy, so...
Yes, they're really squish.
You definitely don't want them taking damage from anything if you can help it.
Yes.
But yeah, clowns are so dope, dude. Clowns are so... They're sick. So this is his Thunder Wave that he's using right here. You have to prompt it from a command yourself. Like, you have to manually input it. It doesn't automatically proc like mixed damage does when you're attacking something nearby. However... It doesn't matter. Like, the clown is still so good. And look at that. Another ice shield, but an elevator right nearby. He's closing the distance.
Oh, absolutely. The only weakness of the mixed magic is the fact that it's really poor against its damage scaling is really, really, really dependent on triangle. So if you actually fight against a water monster, this is absolutely stupid strong. If you fight against a wind monster, it's going to be okay. And if you fight against fire monster, it's going to be extremely weak, like maybe less than 10 damage weak.
Oh, yeah.
So fighting against fire monster is still going to be rough, but it's going to put a lot of the encounters out of the way for...
He's going to use a flame ball in this picket here, and that makes sense because Shauny still... would have right now because he's been having to use them to survive.
Yes.
So he's still in a spot where he's going to want to, find better items than what he currently has. You can see him trying and he's going to start having to build up, basically. He's going to have to start getting an inventory of things that he can actually utilize. And you're seeing him take care of clearing that space now, because some of those like the Hazak and stuff like that, those are things that you're going to want to get rid of for an item that's better. But you're dealing with a Picket here, and because he has such limited resources, you really can't afford for a Picket to steal something good.
Yeah, this is weird because he needs to use the resources in exchange for maybe not losing a full ball full of charges. So he end up using
Ooh,
luckily
wow,
he didn't steal
really
anything
lucky.
though. Yeah.
Really lucky.
Yes.
But now
these
he can...
pickets are stressful, yeah.
Oh yeah, but that's a free turn, basically, in that situation to identify that his flame orb was out of charges. So now he can get rid of that with no question. And it doesn't actually have to be a more risky encounter later on.
Yes.
So he did hit a rust trap, though. Now, do you want to explain what rust traps would do? Obviously, he's using...
Oh, yeah.
They do matter.
Oh, absolutely. So these equipments are going to have pluses or minuses on themselves. Sorry about the noise. And they might have a +1 or a +2 or something like that, but they might have minuses that comes generally from curses. But there's also rust traps. When you walk on them, your equipment gets a -1 that is cumulative. So it could end up being -99 and give you actual -98 attack on your own attack. So you would start to lose your base attack as well, which is absolutely bad, of course. So luckily, everything that is wood doesn't rust, and Diamond Shield doesn't rust either, and the Mirror Shield. So that one is not worse than it was before, but the shield is. So that's why you change probably for...
and if you're in a situation where you're using a gold sword, those rust traps can be the bane of...
Oh yeah, there's weapon that doesn't rust, like the wands and the gold sword, but those are the only exceptions. All right, so floor 20 from Shauny's side, which actually didn't have CUNY for such a long time. This is huge. On Kainethebraine's side, he's actually blazing through floors. Yeah.
It looks like he's trapped. He's gonna have to deal with his unicorn.
Yep.
Because I think that's the play. He definitely just want to get this out of the... But it looks like the Viper is... let's hope. Oh yeah, it did. Okay, so he was able to clear the path. Now he didn't know for sure path that way, but it's very fortunate that it did. He's not going to want to deal with something like that, especially with the resources that he has now. Ooh!
Oh, this is going to be rough.
And this is going to be interesting. Thunderwave doing mad work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what you want to see.
Wow. Yeah, that was a there's not a cleaner way to get rid of a Viper.
Yeah, they are water, so this lightning spell is going to do wonders against them. It's when you're going to start to see those wee dogs, like the big fat red dogs.
Oh yeah.
Like this one.
This one's the big old head. These guys crack me up. They got this monster.
And yeah, it's not going to do any damage.
Oof.
And now he's in trouble. He needs to bag the pet. He needs to bag the pet. Yeah. All right, and he's going to have to kill it with balls, and it's not going to be... Pillar balls isn't going to be enough. Yeah, Holy Scroll. All right, that's the way to go.
So that's super unfortunate that he's got to use a Holy Scroll, because a Holy Scroll is a hell of an item.
Oh yeah, because now this wee dog is part of his party for the old floor. So once he hits the elevator, this wee dog is out. So that's why you're probably going to see him like just not care about the life of the wee dog.
Yeah.
But it's still better than...
And it's so funny to watch enemies fight each other.
Yes.
It really tickles your fancy. However, the reason he did that, like, when the clown priority, it's different than queen priority, where you can like let her tank a little bit. Clowns are completely different. You have to handle them with the utmost. You know, before anything, they have to survive. Whereas in the past, you've seen them utilize queen to tank some damage to soak a few times. But, man, this is a little bit different. And you're gonna notice that he can actually kill his own dog. To gain the XP from it, and that's the smart move to make right before you go up this elevator next floor.
Yes. The dangerous part about clowns is the fact that they are wind elemental, per se, and the problem is every traps that deal damage in tower is for fire damage, so it's going to be increased on a clown. So a clown walking on a slam trap would be hit for like 40 plus.
Oh yeah, a lot of damage.
Oh yeah, so since you cannot see trap unless you have a trap loop, and we have a stealth. So, yep, you see Kainethebraine walking, and then he starts actually pushing at nothing, and you have an encounter at that point, and sometimes it's too late, but that fireball is gonna do wonders there.
Do more than enough, but yeah,
Yep.
that's if you're playing casually and you don't know what that is, that's where your run dies. That's how that works. Because there's no warning, there's no sign. It's just you just start taking damage, and you got to figure out what the heck's going on.
Yes, and each and every time you actually hit a monster in the face with your weapon, it's added into a book that your sister have in town, and there's descriptions about everything, every monster in the game, and these descriptions are absolute wonders. If you have sometimes, actually do read them all. It's crazy. Like, there are some really weird pictures and descriptions. Like, the clown's picture is actually holding a bleeding monster head that it has cut with his side. That's kind of a rough imagery for a game such as this one.
Man, but he is mowing through vipers like it's.
Oh yeah.
And if you actually look at the floor disparity, but they're the same level.
Yes.
Now a lot of that is attributed to. Luckily, he was getting solo EXP, but since he's gotten this clown, he's leveled up crazy because he has the ability to dispatch things far away, and that cannot be understated. The value in this game is to be able to do damage from a distance changes a lot about how you can prioritize utilizing your resources and stuff. And right there, you saw, ooh, this is a good seed.
Which one?
Didn't he pick up? I thought he picked up the attack seed, didn't he?
Oh, probably. I wasn't checking on that side. Oh, man. Nag bomb, that's not gonna kill. Ooh, that's 4 damage. So if this is a miss, okay, that's not a miss. All
right, he's safe.
Your luck can change so quickly in this game. Just a miss there. Ooh, all right. So what do you even do next?
Yeah.
Okay, he's inventory managing.
And that is, like, that can't be understated. Your inventory, like, it does have a limit on it. It's a fairly generous limit, but the game definitely intended for you to be making trips back and forth between the tower and the town. So when you're doing it like this, and your inventory is like half, if not more so, especially as you get higher up, your ability to remove threats in front of you, it can be pretty rough, especially if you're picking up a lot of really good things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And on Kainethebraine side right now, 2 water monster, he still is fighting with CUNY, so the fire setup, that's going to be rough. And he's actually entrapping. Yeah, but now he is entrapped and he cannot go that direction, so that's not a bad idea, but this is risky.
Yeah, he's in a situation.
Oh, we have a crit on CUNY. And if he wants
huge.
to use another ice rock, he needs to put it behind him. That's good. And Hope Mandara is okay, it is. It is.
Okay. There you
Another
go.
time. Okay, confusion. That's good.
Nice.
And a third time. Yeah, that's good. He's all right.
That was a very fortunate and very situation that he created right there. Now that ice rock ball is unique in its own right in this fact that it takes up the space of a tile right there, and it can also be done damage can be done to it. However, there is there's risk involved with that.
Oh, we see our first monster evolution. So in this game, as per in Pokemon, when a monster 20 in this game, it can evolve, and not every monster can, but the clown can. And this clown is now a death, and it's gonna have increased stats all over, and it's gonna deal a ton of damage.
So, yeah, the deaths, not only are they lethal, they look they look pretty cool.
Oh yeah, they do.
and you're gonna see a huge jump in his damage as well as his survivability, which is valuable in its own right because of how weak a clown is in and of itself. But this looks like he's defeating a stealth here.
Yep, absolutely, which is a wind monster, so it's neutral in terms of its type of damage. Oh, this is going to be much more dangerous now. Fireball seems like a good idea there. And we are reverse situation. Now we have Shauny with an actual good pet. Is actually pacing a little bit better. He's got a good inventory. And you can now see Kane without a pet and actually having to dodge around. And this is a much scarier situation than Shauny had at the beginning, so you're going to see creative gameplay or death.
Yeah, we started with a losing. What floor was it? Was it 3? He lost queen on
oh yeah,
3
that was
or something
really
like that?
early. Yeah.
And he has cooked through the rest of it. He found the clown that he needed, of all things. And now on the flip side, Kane is over here having to figure out what he wants to do. Now the difference is is that on the earlier floors, you can manage without that familiar a lot more reasonably, just due to, you know, the innate survivability, how quick you get levels based on EXP. Especially taking solo EXP, you'll level faster, you'll over level, but Kain is in a situation where his survivability is not nearly as easy.
Oh, no, absolutely not. And you see Kainethebraine actually pretty smart play, where he puts the Ice Rock Wall to force the Maneuver into a transforming. And having it has an increase aggro, the Ice Wall, so it generally will take the hit. It's not 100%, but it's probably like 90-something%. So it gave it... Oh, that is scary. This is probably the top 3 of the scariest monster, and we haven't seen one before. This is the first time we see it in this run. This is called the Naplas, and this monster's special ability is the fact that it has twice the amount of HP it's supposed to have. So if it has 100 HP, it's actually 100 out of 200. It's going to start regenerating those HP. And the other thing is the fact that they can fall asleep, regenerating some HP, like just recovering some HP randomly. And when they wake up, they can attack on the same turn they wake up. So that's horrible.
And Kain immediately getting put into another room where he's having to immediately figure some things out. Like, got this counter his left, and he's using it to distract the tyrant. But the tyrant did swing for him. Killers are no joke. Tyrants do a good deal of damage themselves, but that ice wall is.
The Berserk though. Yep.
So nice.
Sometimes go into Berserk mode, and when they do, they attack the closest thing to them. They don't care about teams or anything. It can even happen to your own Tyrant, which would turn against yourself, so that's dangerous.
Yeah, that's a big brain play with such a small likelihood of actually working the way he wanted to. But he knew that, right? He knew that was...
And now, so that killer is dead, so that's good.
Yeah, he got himself to safety with utilizing only that ice block ball. And now he's finding the next elevator. He's probably going to rest some HP right quick, and then he's going to take... And it's worth mentioning that you can actually be standing on something and not waste a turn to utilize something. So if you're standing on the elevator, you can choose not to go up, continue to stay on the elevator, also works for items, rest, do whatever you need to do, and then you can open your menu and use the target function and obtain or use whatever you're standing on without it actually taking that turn.
Yes. So we saw on Kainethebraine's side at 431, there's that little... And the weird part of it is it actually loads monster after the cutscene. So you do see your minimap, and it's going to tell you that there is no enemy in the room. But then, just after the cutscene ends, it will spawn monster in it. But during that time, you have the right to use Demon Speed. Generally, you can, because if there's an enemy close, you cannot use it. But it will let you, because the monsters are not actually loaded, they are loading. They will let you use Demon Speed, and then you are gonna run and get it before you can actually do anything. So after that cutscene, you want to make sure that you actually let the game load for a second or two, reassess the situation, and talking about situation to assess. This is a lot of tyrants. What is he doing? Oh, that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
31. That's so 31.
Kain did die. However, it is worth mentioning that he PB'd twice today on his race to 30. He PB'd earlier when he got to 30 at a 41-minute mark, and he just did it a second time. So that just goes to show you just how much every single time you play this game, you not only get better, but identifying things and working through them. He did an incredible job today, but now it is completely up to Shauny. He has to not only make it to floor 31 to match, but if he dies on floor 31 because Kain got there first, it's still going to go to Kain. So he actually has to go a floor up. However, Shauny, though...
that is not good! Paralyzes! That is the end!
That is it. That's got to be it.
He's okay.
Oh my goodness. That is probably the worst trap in the game. Most people will say that it's the worst trap in the game.
It is.
The warp. He hit a warp.
Yes.
And man, that sucks because... being separated from your familiar, especially seeing this, the clown seems to be in a battle, that's risky because you don't know if he's just getting the stuff beat out of him. But he recognized where it was. He quickly changed his AI, I believe, which is usually the correct decision to make. And then he immediately backtracked towards his familiar, knowing that it was there and telling it not to go anywhere so that he could with it. And he got lucky that there weren't more enemies around the clown.
Exactly.
Because it could have gotten really, really out of hand.
And the lucky part also is the fact that he got warped away. So when you get warped, you get to know where is your new position.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can actually say, okay, I know where I am, and I pet it. But when your pet warps away, you don't know where it ends up being. So you can take a better decision knowing that you are the one that's been warped. You can know, do I want to make my pet run away, or do I want to make it stay there?
Yeah.
But when it is the one who's actually warped away, then you don't know what you want to do. Like, what's the best decision? So you have to actually try. And I don't want to put too many attention on it, but you might want to check on Kainethebraine's side. He's actually going to try to do the glitch entry, which is the way you can get into the tower without talking to Cuny, saving time, but having to do the whole run without an actual pet. So you can actually see him trying on the left side.
I think he's got to go down. I think the trigger is in the front of the building. But yeah, the glitched entry is hilarious. Now at the same time, you're basically doing that's generally what the any percent race to 10 players are going to use.
Yes.
Because it's obviously faster and you're prioritizing not screwing up. But oh man.
Yep. Oh, I hate zoos. The fact that they can paralyze you.
Yeah,
this is as scary as
and
everything.
You're immediately seeing Shauny back. Now, a lot of players that don't know better, you're going to see that elevator 2-3 steps away from you and go, I can, just go to the elevator. But this is a decision he made knowing the risk that was involved, because had it landed paralyzed, it could have ended right there, a step before the elevator.
Exactly,
now, Sand Knight knows a few things about dying.
I don't know what you're talking about. I want to speak to my lawyers, please. Yeah, that might have happened. 3 steps away from victory, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 3 steps. And that was a crazy race. So, I mean, Yo, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, we actually have a shield upgrade on floor 28. Shield, a diamond shield, man. And welcome, Kainethebraine. Maybe yes. Oh, that's alright.
But yeah, Shauny, all the tools that he needs, the opportunity is in his favor. He's got, probably the best familiar in the whole game, evolved. He's got a decent amount of resources in his items. He's got a decent set of gear on him, especially now with that shield upgrade. So he's just going to be chewing through stuff and hoping that he doesn't get put into a situation that is just too much at once. Because you'll notice that's one big thing in this game is you might have every tool you need to make it through the worst enemies there are, but if you get put into a monster den and you don't have an acid rain or something to get rid of everything all at once, you can still die. You can still get overwhelmed
and not can still be a problem because monster den clears the room. It can actually cause a soft lock.
Oh yeah, you can be stuck.
Oh yeah, the games just try to load all the EXP at the same time, and it's just too much for it, and it soft locks.
And that would be the imagine soft locking right before the elevator to the floor.
Yeah, you don't want to see that.
Yeah,
but we have talked a lot about Monster Den, but we maybe not have actually explained what it is. It is a trap. This is the rarest trap of all, and that is good that this is the rarest. If you step on a tile and you actually see the letters, "This is a Monster Den," on screen, it's gonna fill the entire room you're in with and all the type of monster you can see on that floor. This is the scariest thing. A lot of them might be asleep, but even then, like half of them will be alive. And as you might have seen, 2 enemies on screen at the same time is a scary thing. There is a maximum number of enemies on the floor at the same time that the game do load. But monsters then do bypass the actual maximum. So you can end up with like 20 monsters in the same room, and this is probably the end of your run.
Yeah, it means you're dead. Unless you have like a holy, I think, or like a holy bell, right? Can clear the room. And if you don't have that though, like that's pretty much a death sentence. Seeing a monster den, you have to have the tools. But so he's already on floor 30. What did we say? It was floor
32 or 33. I don't remember.
He has to get to floor 32 to win. I believe that.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe that Kane died on 31.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep, I did.
So he's actually using a monster. Oh, hey, Kainethebraine.
How's it going?
Hey, doing pretty fine.
Yeah, congratulations on your amazing showing. Both played out of your.
I think Shauny will get to 32.
Well, I do feel like he is, but you know, just a bad spot and that's it.
The luxury of having a clown, like, he could probably make it to 40. However, like, they're just, sometimes you just get put in, like, if you got put in a, I was just about to say a napless, and then at the same time, you got a, this big bad boy on the other side of you that's gonna come and punch you in the head. So, like, this is a bad situation to be in. He does, fortunately enough, have the resources to deal with a lot of this. But he doesn't want to run towards that napless at all. He's gonna stay north. It sucks when you choose to stay near the killer because that's the safest route. Like that's a bad situation.
Yeah, it's gonna punch you in the face with ends of axes.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you, but it's gonna hurt.
Monster Den, please, Donna. Say, dude, a monster den here would be wild. That would be insane.
The good thing about Monster Den and the reason why everybody create action and stuff, but there's also the fact that the music changes when you get into a Monster Den. And the music is hype as all hell. I really like that song. It's a real banger. So we always want to get a Monster Den and then we want it to last as long as possible. But yeah, most of the time we just end up... the runner doesn't want to see any of this, of course.
So here you go. Beldo, he's getting his cutscene. He needs to continue. He just has to make it one more floor at this point for Shauny to take this final match.
And that was a killer. Chow by next.
Yeah. So he
and there it is.
Oh, wow.
All right, so we've talked about with Shauny, and he might want to try to get as high as he actually can, because this is the last one. I don't know if you guys are interested to actually see this go. Well, I was going to say longer, but I don't know how long it can actually last, but maybe he could go to 40.
Yeah, he definitely has the potential, and some orbs that he doesn't know how much is left in them, but he does have a good deal of stuff. And it's worth mentioning that when you sort your inventory, the item you obtain first is actually going to be listed closer to the top.
Yes. Yeah, you can actually sort your inventory and still keep track of what ball is what. Like if you know which one you have used a lot and which you haven't. But we're talking about getting to floor 40. 32 is actually costing a lot of resources, so it needs to end really quickly because this is not good for him right now.
Yeah, and glaciers in and of their own right are no joke. This is a really big... This is a sucky elevator. It's
yes, exactly.
Have to deal with. Man.
Glaciers are going to be easy just because of the clown, but when you don't have an actual clown, these are really dangerous. They have a long-range attack, which actually pushes you up to the next wall. They do tank a lot. They don't hit that much well compared to other monsters on this floor, so they probably only just hit for 40 instead of 60. But yeah, 40 at this point is still a lot of damage.
Yeah, and if Shauny still had the balloon out, things would be a lot... He's in a good situation compared to where he was start of this run. This could potentially be a floor 40 run, and in the first 9 or 10 levels, or 13 levels.
That's not good though.
We're done with without Queen. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, because he's confused. Yeah, confusion. So you can actually throw items and use balls, and confusion won't actually affect you. So that's why... Oh, no. The dragon is so low that the actual pillar ball actually passed over its head. So that's one charge for nothing.
Yeah, that's big. And this could be a... Oh, he still had another charge in it. That's fortunate. That was a...
Yeah, that was a fresh ball, so he knows he's all right. Okay, Mezar Seed is a level up, so that's good. Okay. So that's like a raw candy in Pokemon, so that's good.
One thing that's worth mentioning is when you do... Ooh, an egg helps a lot. When you do get a trap that blinds or confuses or whatever, you can actually pass your turn and eventually let that wear off. That way you're not having to make any moves that could put you in a bad spot. However, you could, like, say you're blind, for instance, not see and have things come beat the crap out of you while you're trying to do that. So it's you have an ability to kind of dispel that. If you're safe, traps, sometimes they don't really feel like they're doing a whole lot, but a bad trap at the wrong time is probably one of the worst things this game has to offer. It's hard to deal with.
Okay, so sadly it started at the top left of the map, and the rotation starts from top left and goes up to you. So the farther you are down southeast, the more of the map you're gonna see through rotation, and the more you are in top left, you actually saw the map not even rotate and go to it, and that's it. So it didn't scout anything. And
so now he's completely up to the will of exploration. He doesn't know it.
That's 55 damage.
He has to figure out a decision. He's going to use the Holy Bell. Wow.
Yes, because you don't, like I said, you never want to actually use an egg bomb if this is your last resort.
Yeah.
So that's why you decided to go with the Holy Bell, which might be a better item actually, and I would believe it, but yeah.
Oh yeah, the Holy Bell in the situations that it's useful, it is like the most useful. Might have. Like it monster dens and stuff like that, especially.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Does he get the spectacles? Does he go for them here?
Oh yeah, he does. He actually can one-shot.
So he's going to, and he's going to hope that those are probably star.
Star, yes, and that star.
Oh wow! So
that might be huge later on. Yeah.
Of a floor of his choosing.
Yeah. Oh man, this is getting scary. 35 is getting scary.
Yes, it is, and he is. That's not a next to, but he's far away, where he can figure out what he wants to do, and it looks like he's just gonna run. Which
No, he's gonna fight because he needs to. These guys have a long range attack, and you really don't want to mess with. Okay, he's gonna go with.
He's gonna go for an egg bomb. He's gonna name it and then pour one out for. A block.
Oh, that's not good. The thing I thought about
really...
the wall, the block couldn't stack because there was a wall in between.
That was really unfortunate. So that's a waste
yeah.
of an egg bomb, which is one of your most advantageous tools, especially with dispatching enemies. Finding ball, okay, it had a use. That's fortunate for him. He's just going to be able to take off at this point. But it looks like he's going to try to kill it before its paralysis wears off. Risky. Sometimes that paralysis only lasts, literally doesn't last a single turn.
Yeah, exactly.
It lasts the turn that it takes for you to use it, and then you're in a bad spot. But we're in.
Okay. So we see the maximum here, which is a giant monster. We don't see all of it now, but it's kind of big. Okay, that's good. Maximum doesn't have any special ability. It doesn't have any trait. It's just a big ball of raw stats. So they have high defense, high HP, high attack. They don't have anything special, but the special thing they have is that they are really powerful. And this is the last different type of monster we're going to see in this tower. And this is going to start... Yeah, weak ball is worth nothing, so...
Yeah, I was about to say, the weak ball, especially at this point, is kind of really out of anything. It's basically a wasted turn.
Oh, Barong, though. Okay, we haven't talked... That's the first Barong we see in 4 races. Okay, so these are really weird monsters. You can actually throw any items you add at them, and they're gonna spit something new. And you can only find these bad boys on floor 16, 26, and 36. And it's going to cost them a lot of MP to actually recycle your items. So at some point they won't be able to do it anymore, but you can sometime refresh your inventory with new stuff. So he's got a level up seed and a fire pistol.
He has 3 star glasses. That's enough. 36, 37, 38, and that just leaves 1 floor to finish.
Oh yeah, and he picks up the Barong, which is one thing you're going to see, which is absolute madness. He's not going to be able to use it there, though. But when you have one corridor that is worth only one wide, you can put the Barong there, and the enemy won't attack it, so they will just turn around.
Salamander. This is one of my favorite abilities, and it's just so neat. It's neat to use, and it's that is really not good.
Oh, that is not good. No, and the Salamander is not doing enough.
Yeah, he's going to
take a lot of time.
He's going to have to just... Dude, what do you do? Do you cut your losses and take off?
I don't know.
I mean, he has star glasses to at least reveal the remaining left.
I think you still want to try and save that clown. But yeah, it's gonna start to be scary because now one golem is gonna hit once. That's 55 damage. And that salamander is not doing enough right now. That's scary. Okay, he's trying to shoot the lightning. That's good. What else do you want to do? These 3 golems are really like messing with him right now.
Yeah, this is these. You saw these guys hit for close to 50 damage on Ko.
Oh, yeah.
So he can't get anywhere near them. He has to, at the same time, prioritize keeping his clown alive without putting himself in a situation of risk.
Yes.
Well, this is gonna be.
And these golems have a range attack, which you're gonna see right now. So they take 1 turn to charge it, so you can always dodge it if you feel like. Taking a turn to actually get out of the way, but that is scary, yes.
Okay.
So is he gonna risk a ball? Oh man, I don't know what you do in this situation.
Do you?
Yeah, he's gonna risk the ball, and that was the play. Okay, luckily.
Wow, okay.
Yes. Oh, this is getting scary, man.
So that potentially means that that's what his 5th use of that binding ball.
Yeah, it's getting scarce.
Yeah, and that, he had a 7. Remember, he had a 7 charge binding ball at the beginning. But you because he still has this enemy, he has the some of so chooses.
Oh yeah, he knows where the elevator is, but that was too far. Okay, he needs to run away. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, he's gonna bail.
AI manip, that's good. All right, and now you go for it. Oh, is that it? Is that it? Okay, 37. That is not a good fruit.
Oh man!
That bomb trap killed the pet. Oh
wow! Wow!
Oh, that is not good.
So, all right. So what's his play here? He does have an. Does he have an egg on hand? No, he doesn't. Right?
No,
he threw
has
it, and it was the block.
Yeah.
Wow.
So right now, what you do is you use star glasses and you pray.
Yeah, you bail. You use the star glasses that you have left because he got lucky with the item. Have some on hand. But this is a. If he gets, that's so far away.
Oh, that is good. That is good. That it's not gonna do a ton of damage and it's gonna push him away. So that's good.
But unfortunately, he didn't get.
Oh yes. Oh no.
Oh no.
Okay, it's not gonna be a kill, but that's good. All right.
Jeez.
38.
He had he been spawned on the opposite side.
Oh, that's 39.
Room.
No warp trap, please. No paralysis. I just want to see. Okay, 39.
Okay,
he's gonna skip some turns. Skip some turns.
And he has the star glass.
Star glasses, yeah, but it all depends on how the tower wants to be. Oh my god.
And
oh, that's not good.
No, that sucks.
Not good at all.
That sucks. That sucks bad. He can't even afford. He can't afford to use the star glasses.
Yeah, I agree. He shouldn't have done that, but that's all right, I guess. Okay, diagonal movement. That's good. That's a dragon though. He's caught in between. Oh no.
Oh my god.
Oh no, that's a dragon in a hard place. Yep, that's
floor
not...
39.
Oh no, that's not the end. There's still a pillar in this pillar ball. That's a one shot.
Wow. And the EXP to level you up.
Oh yeah. Is he gonna do it? No way.
All it takes is one more dragon on the other side of that.
And he's done it! Oh my god!
In an hour and 5 seconds, Shauny has reached the top of the tower as high as you can go. That's floor 40, ladies and gentlemen. This run, let me remind you, it started without a Queenie for like 14 floors.
Absolutely.
This was Azure Dreams, my friends. You have seen the whole spread from dying on floor 2 to making it to floor 40 to all the crazy crap in between. I don't know. You're going to be hard-pressed to find a better showing than this, my friends.
Hi, Shauny.
Hi. That was stressful.
So we have both our runners in chat right now. Kainethebraine, we haven't talked to yet, and Shauny7188. Thank you guys for the match. That was crazy.
That was something. Oh boy.
Losing Queenie on floor 2 and still finishing at floor 40.
Yeah, that's insane.
And and to Don's point, cutting out the house exit time, which isn't time for anybody curious in the leaderboards, that's a 57-minute any percent run, my friend.
Yep, absolutely, which would be a really good time. Like sub 1 hour is always a really good time.
Yeah, and here's the end boss because hey, you know.
Oh yeah, the end boss is a cutscene, so you cannot actually win. You need to drop down to 0 HP. You're gonna get 1 HP back, and then cutscene starts. So yeah, even we tried to hit him for like hours on ends with infinite MP pets and stuff like that, and it doesn't do anything. It has infinite HP up till you actually use the ability.
Yeah, and also on top of that, I just gave him a Mazar seed.
You have to level him up. Yep.
He doesn't actually level up. He just gets a thing.
Man, well, both of you guys, like, we saw the spectrum. ARPGME, thank you, dude. I don't know what to say at this point. Like, we saw some of the decision making that I was like, "What is he doing?" And I was like, "Okay, like, all right." And then there was times where I was like, "Oh man, this is too much." And
I have been practicing my my AI one manipulation strat. You guys probably have noticed, and oh man, this is a brutal game. But I'm so glad I finally got to show it off. Also in a marathon setting, so
that was and it came in at like an hour and 5. So like you would have, Had that dragon not been, and you just had it, you would have been able to do it within the marathon time constraint. That's what's nuts to me, especially considering that for like 12 of the most crucial floors, you did it without Queenie.
Yeah, that was not fun. I thought, I'll just kind of go for a while, die, then we could do the interview and wrap up. And then I'm like, it's like I got an egg. It's a balloon. I'm like, that's nice.
Yeah,
like that's great. I left it in a room to die. I'm like,
yeah, you did.
Funny. And then all of a sudden, it's like, cool. I guess I can't
The clown
actually
came in clutch, yeah.
So there's no room on the table like you would upgrade your house. Just put your father's stuff on the bookshelf.
Not in the bookshelf, on the bookshelf.
Yeah.
Yep. But so thank you very much, Shauny7188 for the run. Thank you, Kane, for the same thing. You both did great. I want to also take time to thank you, Professor Palmer. Man, this has been a blast.
Oh yeah, no, it was dope. It was dope, man. Happy to do it.
Runners got any comments they'd like to share about the experience during the run?
I will not die.
I agree. Yeah. This room was madness. I need to watch it.
No, that stupid room of a dragon, a golem, a glacier, and a tyrant walking in.
Yeah, no, that was the one where we were like, oh well, he's screwed, and then we were like, oh no, what's he doing? It's just both of you guys put on expert level decision making, AI manipulation, movement. Like there was so few mistakes, like in that as far as like the tools that you guys had. It was so. I mean, the creativity of both of you guys cannot be understated. You guys did an amazing job.
Yeah. GG, Kane, you kept me up. Every time I kept, it's like, what floor? He's like, 30. I'm like, crap.
I think my favorite match was the third one. I was like not like fully invested in looking at my game, and I thought, it's just a flame. This will be no problem. And then I like looked back, and I'm like, why am I not I'm dead.
Yeah, I was talking about like the Queenie tutorial skip, and then I was like, you know what? Actually, we're gonna run this back. It looks like.
Exactly. So we ended up having a great match that even got to 40 in exchange, so that was all worth it. But that also has shown how this game can be volatile when it decides to, and that's it.
Yeah, and Shauny almost repeated that with the.
Yep.
Yeah, actually. The stupid thing, I just checked my items. I had 0 pillars left, so me killing that pillar, or the dragon with the pillar and the diagonal, I had 0 binding and 1... Yeah, I had one binding and one pillar. And
so that was going to be the end anyway.
Yeah, wow. So if I didn't manage to get by that dragon, I wouldn't have found that. So yeah, at the end of the day, I want to also 2 seconds to thank MASH and all the people that actually work on ARPGME. This has been a blast, especially considering we are not an actual action role-playing game. This game is turn-based, but we really wanted to make a show here, and MASH was kind enough to let us do this. So I hope you enjoyed it.
I mean, that was pretty intense. I mean, I would consider that home to action RPGs in my books. I mean, that was stuff was going fast. Like that was.
Well, that was an RPG and there was action, so I guess that kind of.
We met the basic definition.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I mean that was a showing. I'll leave it.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to take 2 seconds to thank chat. You guys were awesome. We laughed. We had all the range of emotions. At some point, I was sad. At some point, I was angry. That this is a tower. I really like it.
Yeah, and if you guys are interested, take it from me, somebody who's just recently even played the game for the first time, and here I am enjoying commentating it. If you said if in the slightest, if you just want to be caught or the things that Azure Dreams has going on, then feel free to join the Discord. Follow some of these amazing runners in the chat. Check them out. Shoot people a message. You don't have to be good or even experienced to get involved, like myself. So trust me, it's easy to get into, and you can only go up from there. This game has a very high ceiling that the runners keep getting better and better. I think what you said, Kane, 2 PBs, I think, today?
Yeah, my first to 30s, I think, were both faster than like the previous on the 2 that I made to 30.
Yeah, that's just That's just a testament to every time you play this, especially when you've coming off of a warmed up race. It's a game with a lot of improvements and a lot of fun, and I think you guys are to do.
Honestly, I'm just happy I got to show off the game. I'm glad it didn't. Again, with losing Queenie literally on the first floor possible, I'm like, oh, this shouldn't be that bad. I got a wooden wand. I can take this, and he dies. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice.
Yeah. I was sort of praying that we at least like made 20 for all of the matches.
Oh yeah, because
We almost did.
Almost.
There's totally an opportunity for this.
I was rusty in that first match. I got no excuses. That was bad plays all around for me.
That was something. That was wonderful. That was definitely a treat, and that was definitely worth having. Like to thank you guys. Yeah, like who was it originally that contacted me and got this initially rolling? Like
Probably Don.
a week.
It's always done for go.
Oh
Yeah.
a week,
don't know the exact
like a
time
week
period, but
before a week
Yes.
before the marathon was starting. It's just like, oh, we have some open time somewhere around there, and it's like, okay, let's go bounce back and forth between me and Sand King, figure this out, and I mean, you made it happen, and that was good. So I'm glad.
Oh yeah, but thank you for being open because at some point it was not gonna happen at all, and I'm really happy we did because man, these were matches.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is honestly, like, I can't stress this enough about this stupid speed game. It's not unfun to die. It is always funny to see how you die.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And this is the oddest game where I've played where it's full of RNG. And if I die, I just laugh and go, okay, try again. And I've never been angry at this game.
I
And
think
I'm not
the
gonna bullshit you guys. This
Yeah.
could have they really could have done a best of 3 in 30 minutes total. Like that. This run could sometimes be like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we did see Run one match went really short, but
That was an accidental start. That's what that was.
accidental. Okay, like the closest experience, like legitimate experience I had with a game similar to this was like Brand New Quest. I don't know if people are familiar with that, but it's got a sort of like a floor climbing thing. Well, you're going down floors. That's the difference. But
Okay.
it's an action RPG. It's on the Energus like disc that you buy for the PlayStation 1.
Oh yeah, the fighting games. you mean?
Yeah, but it
Oh,
has
yeah,
a
I played
whole
that.
quest mode on it, and I've
Yes.
been really trying to actually complete runs on that, and doing races and stuff with people in a similar format is pretty interesting. Yeah, I suck at that game though, so I applaud you guys for being able to play games as difficult as those, where you're at the mercy of the enemies and the RNG and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely.
Thank you so much for letting me finish the run, though, because I asked it very cheekily. I'm like, oh, I can get to 40, thinking, this will be fine.
I mean,
I didn't realize I was actually out of my resources completely, except for 2 balls. That was definitely not what I thought was happening.
took a risk and it paid off. So
Yes,
yeah. So
I agree. And also in chat, thank you for dealing with me. I know I cut out when I speak about stuff when something hype happened, and there's always something hype happening, so I'm always talking about something, and I'm like, okay, no, wait. There's that. So yeah, I'm sorry, that's me.
No, you're good, man. we killed it. I'll just leave it at that.
All right, I agree with that.
It was a blast of a time. So thank you guys for doing it. Sandite for joining me.
Yeah.
and the marathon for having us. I appreciate it.
So
Yes,
we're gonna start wrapping up really shortly here. If Keen or Shauny or anybody else has any other stuff that they'd like to talk
Yeah,
about.
I think I want to plug 2 things if you let me. First, we're gonna have our finals next week on Saturday. You can come in Discord and ask questions or have more information about it. And
Yeah.
the other thing is, this week is gonna be actually Professor Palmer is gonna have a run at RPG Limit Break, which is gonna be a Earthlock run.
Yeah.
So if you want to see more of this bad boy actually doing really great running,
Well,
this-
we'll actually be hosting RPG Limit Break as soon as we
Nice.
close up here. So that's fantastic. I
when's your
also
run?
I also plugged the Discord link and the runner profiles
thanks.
there as well in chat. So
Thank you.
please, chat, do follow those runners on their Twitch. It's linked right there on their runner profile, and join the Discord. Get talking to those guys. Even if you're not into speedrunning, maybe just interested in learning a game, I guarantee those lovely people will help you understand more. Maybe one day you will be running in some of these tournament races they've been organizing. They seem like a lot of fun, and I'm glad to glad to have experienced one for the first time myself. So
Actually, our current potential second place, potential first place person in the tournament, Captain Luigi, was not a speedrunner before entering.
Yep.
He's knocked out all the heavyweights for the most part in the tournament, so anything's possible on that.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, this is a roguelike. If you want to have some fun, just join the Discord link that I'm going to put it one last time, and then we're really going to have to let Mash... he is being really gentle at telling us that we need to shut up now, so we're going to do it this time.
I just wanna like chill out and watch RPG Limit Break and go to bed. Like that, it's been a busy weekend for me, making sure that this goes on. Big shout outs though, while we have people's attention, to Dale Duck. He was one of the other restreamers alongside Jabro, who was taking over here and there for me so I could actually try to squeeze some hours of sleep in. And also the Foil Frody, who did all of the graphic overlay work that you see here during the marathon. He was a super fantastic person that I've known for several years, from the Nier community that I was a part of for, 3-4 years? I've got to know so many people, so many other communities over the years doing this stuff. Since the ARPGME 2017, even before that with the NASA 2017 as well. So it's been super exciting to bring content like this to everybody in a large setting like this. So yeah, look forward to NASA 2019 in June. That's coming up soon. But we're gonna throw it over with a host to RPG Limit Break and watch some epic RPGs.
That sounds great.
Yep.
Thanks again for having us.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have fun.